Chapter 1961. Chen Shang did indeed intend to let Shui Bingyan stay in the same room as him. Shui Bingyan was still like a child right now, and he couldn't be at ease with her at all. At this time, Feng Yuji came out from closed-door cultivation. She heard Chen Zhang's voice coming from the living room, and immediately walked over. Seeing Shui Bingyan, Feng Yuji spat. She didn't think that Chen Shang had only been out for a month and already found such a good girl. Feng Yuji's face was full of jealousy, causing 3 Gu brothers and the other 2 to secretly laugh, and they tactfully ran away, although they really wanted to see what would happen next. The pure Shui Bingyan obviously didn't know what was going on. However, when she saw that Feng Yuji was a good-looking woman, she couldn't help but have a very intimate feeling towards him. She sweetly smiled at him. "Hello, big sister. How did you get tricked by him?" Feng Yuji walked over. She already knew who Chen Shang was. Although she was jealous, she would not have any bad expression towards Shui Bingyan. Instead, she needed to take good care of her little sister. "Don't make it sound so bad, she and I have nothing. Sister Feng, this matter is more important when we go back to our room. I went to Beast Divine Palace and saw Qi Shi." Quote. Feng Yuji and Chen Shang had been together for a while, so she already understood Chen Shang very well. Seeing the look in his eyes, she knew that Chen Shang was not lying, and the girl in front of her was not what she had imagined, but she still felt that she would definitely be harmed by Chen Shang in the future. Feng Yuji also saw Yue, who was in Shui Bingyan's embrace. Seeing that Yue was very cute, she couldn't help but hug him for a while. When she hugged Yue, she frowned, and then, her expression changed slightly as she said in shock, "This aura, it's the star and crescent beast." Quote. "Let's talk inside." Chen Shang lowered his voice and walked in front, bringing Feng Yuji and Shui Bingyan in. When 3 Gu brothers saw this from afar, he could not help but exclaim. "This brat truly has quite the skill. He managed to make them submit so quickly." The oldest Gu sighed. After entering the room, Chen Shang said, "This is Shui Bingyan, she saved my life. This is Yue, the mysterious kitten in the Beast Divine Palace, the one you mentioned earlier. She helped me greatly during my trial." Quote. "This is Feng Yuji." Chen Shang briefly introduced both parties. "They might be living here for a while in the future." Yue replied, "I got the inheritance from the 9 divine kings. I knew it, but I didn't expect that she was also in the Supreme Divine Palace." Feng Yuji knew that Yue could speak, so she wasn't surprised. Within the Star Moon Divine race, cats are royalty, and your position in the Beast Divine Palace shouldn't be low. Furthermore, you're a pure white Star Moon Divine cat. Chen Shang was shocked as he looked at Yue. The fur on her body was indeed very white and pure. "Meow," Yue cried out, "although my position in Beast Divine Palace isn't low, it isn't high either. Compared to that Prince Divine Lions, I'm nothing." Speaking of Divine Lion race, Feng Yuji immediately thought of Qi Shi. Qi Shi and the other divine beasts were initially resurrected by the 9 divine kings, but now, Feng Yuji knew some related matters. "What's wrong with Qi Shi? How did he come here?" Feng Yuji asked. "He was injured by the Prince Divine Lions' subordinates, and almost died. Now that he has gone to the Lion King's tomb, he was born and bred by the Super God realm. As long as he wakes up his memories, he can go back and forth easily." Yue answered Feng Yuji, but Chen Shang didn't ask her how he got to Super God realm. Feng Yuji went over to Shui Bingyan's side and touched her beautiful little face, only to see Shui Bingyan giving a light smile. "Elder sister, you're very charming, you almost captivated me. You're so amazing, you can actually see my hidden charm." Feng Yuji laughed. "Bingyan, how old are you this year? Sister Feng, you have to take her to understand this world better in the future. She's very strong, and she killed one of the heavenly god Silver Lion in one fell swoop without even leaving a trace of her divine deity behind," Chen Shang said. Feng Yuji was shocked. She never thought that Shui Bingyan was so strong that he could kill the other rankers in the god level in one go. However, she seemed so innocent, and had even brought her here. "Big sister, I don't know how old I am. I sleep a lot, and I don't know how long I sleep every time." Shui Bingyan puffed her cheeks as she tried to recall exactly how old she was, but she couldn't. She felt that she must have felt guilty not being able to give Feng Yuji a satisfactory answer. Seeing Shui Bingyan's beautiful face filled with shame, Feng Yuji did not expect her to be so conflicted over such a question, and anxiously laughed. "It's all right, since you called me big sister, then you will follow me from now on. I won't let any bad people bully you." When she said that it was a bad guy, she shot a glance at Chen Shang. Thank you, elder sister, you are so nice. Shui Bingyan smiled. Yue giggled, so the bad guys are here. Chen Shang pinched Yue, you little kitten, how many more things are you trying to hide from me? Feng Yuji touched Yue's little head. Yue, you should be able to transform. As a member of the imperial family of Star and Crescent Beast, you should be able to transform very easily. I'm a beast race, and it's still very difficult for me to take human form. I also want to take human form as soon as possible, so I don't have to be pinched all day long like this. Yu helplessly said. Chen Shang and Feng Yuji's relationship was already very close. He told Feng Yuji about how he met Shui Bingyan, and also about how he obtained the Dao Heart Stone. Feng Yuji didn't know how dangerous the mission was, but she knew that Zhu Xiangyuan, the chief hall master of the Soul Hall, would give him such generous rewards. She knew that it would be extremely dangerous, but she blamed Chen Shang for it. That ocean did not come from the God's realm, but from the Nine Heaven World. The Nine Heaven World's circulation and growth speed have already exceeded my imagination, and I'm afraid not even the 9 divine kings would have expected it. Feng Yuji's words caused Chen Shang and Yue to be extremely shocked. The majority of the sea water came from the Nine Heaven World. Shui Bingyan had said it before, that the sea that was originally so big had suddenly grown big a while ago. Yue said, in that case, from now on, Nine Heaven World will directly cross over to the God's realm and fuse with it. That's right, so I'm worried that the Nine Gods nation will intervene. Feng Yuji said. If it really happened, it would be useless for them to intervene. The power of nature is not something they can defeat. At most they would just use their own strength to occupy the territory, but the Beast Divine Palace would not allow them to do so. Yu said. Shui Bingyan listened quietly. She did not understand any of this, but it did not sound boring at all, and had made her enjoy listening to him. Furthermore, her mind was spinning very quickly, and throughout the entire journey, she had heard Yue and Chen Shang talk about many things that happened in the outside world. Why doesn't Beast Divine Palace allow them to do this? This was what Chen Shang also wanted to ask, he didn't know either. Feng Yuji said. At that time, Beast Divine Palace had promised 9 divine kings that he would protect the 9 heavens and prevent them from falling into the hands of 9 gods nation. If they still kept this promise, Beast Divine Palace would stop them at that time. The relationship between 9 divine kings and him was not just good, he had not just revived a large number of powerful divine beasts that had died years ago, there was still such an agreement. Yes, the 9 divine kings is a benefactor to the 4 divine beasts, and the Beast Divine Palace is controlled by the 4 divine beasts. Yu nodded. Yue was one of the Star and Crescent Beasts, and Divine Lion race was one of them. Chapter 1962. As Chen Shang and the others were discussing, there was a knock on the door. Someone was knocking on the courtyard door. 3 Gu brothers had already left, while Luo Tianjin was still concocting pills in his isolation. It's Elder Yi. When Chen Shang sensed this aura, he started to worry. Previously, Yi Baidong said that he was called over by the divine nations, and it was very possible that it was for him. Chen Shang hurried to open the door. Seeing the serious look on Yi Baidong's face, he knew that he would not bring any good news. When Yi Baidong entered, he saw Feng Yuji and Shui Bingyan who had just walked out, and was even more surprised when he saw Yue who was flying over. He did not expect that not long after he left, Chen Shang had already brought 2 women along, even Beast Divine Palace's cat girl was brought in by him. Yi Baidong recognized Feng Yuji, so when he saw him, he nodded. Let's talk inside, Yi Baidong said. After entering the hall, Yi Baidong sat down and drank a few mouthfuls of the tea Feng Yuji brought over, then said, overall, it's not too bad. Those divine nations already knew that you were in the Supreme Divine Palace, and they also planned to deal with you. Feng Yuji said, Elder Yi, how many powers have 9 gods nation left in the Supreme Divine Palace? Yi Baidong was one of them. Chen Shang was more curious about Yi Baidong's identity, since he was on the side of the 9 divine kings, but those divine nations did not dare to do anything to him. They would even look for him to discuss things. Boxing Hall and Sword Hall are basically the same. Dan Hall and Soul Hall are both neutral, but I and a few elders are all biased towards 9 divine kings. Those 9 divine nations have very important matters to take care of right now, and they only have a little bit of concern for Chen Shang. They won't use too terrifying power to deal with him. Yi Baidong said. But if the things they sent out do not work out, they will draw their attention, so Chen Shang does not have much time left, I think he will have to leave in at most 10 years. Chen Shang replied, 10 years is enough time. Yi Baidong nodded his head, in 2 months, it will be the great competition of the 4 great halls. At that time, the divine nations will send people over to supervise the competition, because they will be selecting the most outstanding disciples from these competitions. Feng Yuji rolled his eyes and asked, Elder Yi, do the divine nations know about my situation? I want to take a look at the divine nations. The reason why Feng Yuji came here was to find an opportunity to investigate about the divine nations. As for Yi Baidong, he only knew a little, he could not stay in those divine nations as often, so he did not even know about the details. You are not too much of a threat to them, and if they think that you are not bad, they still plan to recruit you into their divine nations. In their eyes, you, the goddess of the 9th heaven, are nothing to them. Yi Baidong sighed. These divine nations do not care about the matters of the 9 divine kings anymore. This could only mean that these divine nations had become very scary. Even if they were to revive, it would not be a threat to them. Was even more curious about the 9 gods nation now. To think that the 9 divine kings was actually so powerful, in his eyes, the 9 divine kings was a very powerful existence, he was only trapped, but now, it seems that even if the 9 divine kings was released, they would still not be able to beat him. During the competition, people from the divine nations will come and take a look at your situation. Yi Baidong warned her once again before leaving. This was only 2 months away. Although Yi Baidong said that the 9 gods nation did not plan to use her strongest power to deal with him, he was still very uneasy in his heart. When Chen Shang returned to his room, he found Shui Bingyan and Yue playing around. Seeing Chen Shang come back with a serious expression on his face, Yue asked, what happened? Yue, Sister Feng, in these 2 months, it would be best for you two to let Bingyan familiarize yourself with the human world as soon as possible, in case anything else happens, I might have to leave Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Shang said, 9 gods nation might be making a move against me. Feng Yuji frowned. Elder Yi said that it's not that serious yet. Chen Shang shook his head. Hard to say, because Elder Yi doesn't know about my situation. If those fellows sent by the 9 gods nation find out about my secret, it might be different. Chen Shang gave Feng Yuji 8 million Shen Yuan stone, he wanted to buy some divine medicine as soon as possible during this period of time. I don't know what's going on with that Xiao, but he seems to have quite a few rare divine medicines on him. I've asked around before, not only did this guy sell them to me, he also bought quite a few precious divine medicines from him for other pills, including the 3 Gu brothers. Feng Yuji said. But he has never sold any divine medicines of the same kind. It seems like he does not know how to duplicate them. Speaking of which, Chen Shang felt that Xiao seemed to have an ancient divine medicine garden. It seems like he will be the one to kill off the divine medicine this time. Chen Shang laughed, then asked, Sister Feng, how is your improved Zongpin medicine? Your regeneration Dan was robbed from your business, have there been any changes over these few days? I don't know what's going on with those guys, but they really sold the regeneration Dan very cheaply. Furthermore, there were quite a few regeneration Dan in their hands. Feng Yuji scoffed, I've seen these 2 guys before. They're both young and angry brats, and they even have some ill intentions towards me. Chen Shang caressed Feng Yuji's face and laughed, who asked Sister Feng to have such charm? When I refine the regeneration Dan that I modified, I will challenge these 2 little ghosts. Feng Yuji seemed to have made good progress. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so confident. At night, Chen Shang and Feng Yuji rested below the earth room while Yue and Shui Bingyan rested upstairs. The basement room was quite spacious and setting up a bed was not much of a problem. Chen Shang and Feng Yuji had been here for a month, and since they had returned, the 2 of them naturally had to get closer to each other. Furthermore, Feng Yuji had used some of his spirit pearls to replenish his energy. When he woke up in the morning, Chen Shang had realized that Feng Yuji wasn't by his side. Feng Yuji had always woken up earlier than him, and when he arrived at the top, he discovered that Yue and Shui Bingyan weren't there either. Bingyan and Yue should have gone out with Sister Feng. Chen Shang arranged his clothes. Just as he opened the door and walked out of the courtyard, he saw Xiao Chou walking over. Master! Xiao Chou shouted and quickly ran over. He had already found out from the chief hall master that Chen Shang had completed the mission order. Zhu Shangyuan said that it must be kept a secret, but he felt that it shouldn't be a problem to tell Xiao Chou. It was because Xiao Chou was his disciple, that was why Xiao Chou knew about it. Chapter 1963. Master, how did you do it? Initially, he had thought that since he possessed the strength of a god beast, he would be stronger than Chen Shang. However, he no longer dared to think like this, because even Zhu Shangyuan, the chief hall master, was unable to accomplish the mission that Chen Shang had completed. Hee, it's just luck. That's what you came to find me for. Chen Shang laughed. Didn't I give you 500,000 Shen Yuan stone last time? Master, now that you have over 10 million Shen Yuan stone, can you return that 500,000 to me? Xiao Chou laughed and said, I'm very poor now. Xiao Chou had thrown him a storage bag. After all, Xiao Chou was his disciple, so he could not be so stingy. Right now, he was not lacking anything, but the herbs that Feng Yuji was going to purchase were mostly very expensive, and the middle-grade mystical medicine that he had purchased previously had gone to 4 million Shen Yuan stone people. As for the bone-level Dan and Feng Yuji's Shangpin Dan, they were definitely very expensive as well. Therefore, before Feng Yuji could refine a divine pellet that could allow him to earn a large amount of Shen Yuan stone, he had no choice but to continue refining more Shen Yuan stone. For the time being, you can keep it. When I'm lacking in the future, I'll come and ask for it from you. Chen Shang laughed mischievously. Looking at your appearance, you don't usually spend Shen Yuan stone do you? Of course I won't use it carelessly. Xiao Chao's face was full of dejection. He had a premonition that the 500,000 Shen Yuan stone would be taken away by Chen Shang soon. Xiao Chou said, Master, grandfather told me that in the dangerous place between the sovereign god realm and the 6 paths of the gods, there is a natural treasure trove of divine medicine. It is easy to find many Zongpin medicine inside there, aren't you lacking these right now? The grandfather that Xiao Chou spoke of was Zhu Shangyuan. The reason Zhu Shangyuan asked Xiao Chou to come to find him, was precisely to pass this news to him. Do these people know? Chen Shang looked around, afraid that someone would hear it. A few people know about it, but it's not easy to get there, so Master shouldn't have any problems. Xiao Chou suddenly lowered his voice. Master, that guy called Xiao frequently goes to that place. You and Master's wife frequently bought divine medicines, so this guy must have also killed you before. Chen Zhang's heart was moved. He had suspected that Xiao had discovered some kind of mysterious medicinal garden, and it was just as he had expected. It was just that that place was not a very mysterious place, it was just very dangerous. Xiao must have his own way of entering that place, which was why he was able to obtain some precious divine medicine from time to time. That fellow is currently extremely rich, and he is very mysterious. Although he only has the name of a god of heaven, his power should be even greater. Xiao Chou said, Master, if you have nothing else to do, you can go over there to take a look. Of course Chen Shang had to go take a look. After he dismissed Xiao Chou, he went to the Supreme Hall, thinking that Feng Yuji would be there. They came in the morning and have already left. That girl said she is going out to purchase medicinal ingredients. The old man said to Chen Shang. Elder, in the area where the 6 paths and a supreme being meet, is there a treasure land with a large amount of divine medicines? Chen Shang asked. The old man knew a lot of things, he must be extremely knowledgeable. Yes, you want to go. The old man was no longer underestimating Chen Shang. Give me some useful information. Chen Shang nodded. I want to look for divine medicine inside. The old man took out a jade tablet and handed it over to Chen Shang. It's all inside, but it's actually nothing much. There's a mysterious treasure ground there, and it's an independent space, and it's relatively large inside, and there's even a definite amount of danger. Although there are many divine medicines, not everyone can find a lot, it requires a certain amount of luck. Chen Shang returned from the Supreme Hall, and waited patiently in his room for Feng Yuji and the others to return. In the afternoon, Shui Bingyan and Feng Yuji returned, holding hands. I'm going out for a while, Yu is coming with me, Bingyan, you can stay here with Sister Feng. Chen Shang said. Shui Bingyan treated Feng Yuji as if she were his own older sister. Feng Yuji also treated her very well. Today he brought her out to play in some small villages and bought her many good things. I will definitely listen to elder sister's words. Elder brother Shen, you don't have to worry about me. Shui Bingyan also understood why Chen Shang was worried about her, because she currently did not know much about this world. On one hand, it was because she was worried that she would encounter a bad person, and on the other hand, she was worried that she would randomly use her terrifying strength. Leaving now? In such a hurry? Where are we going? Feng Yuji asked. Chen Shang handed over the jade tablet to her, and showed her the contents inside. It was the jade tablet the old man had given him, and on it was the information about the divine medicine treasure land. After Feng Yuji finished reading, he said in pleasant surprise, that Xiao should be the divine medicine that we get from here. If we can find the divine medicine that we need from inside, then we don't need to buy it from that guy anymore. It's so dark that we can die. Chen Shang nodded with a smile. Take good care of Bing Yan, I will definitely return with a great harvest. Chen Shang brought Yue and quickly left the Supreme Divine Palace. In the 6 hours after he left, it was almost dusk. Yi Baidong suddenly came with an ugly face. Where's Chen Shang? Yi Baidong did not see Chen Shang, so he asked Feng Yuji. He went out. It's already been a few hours. Elder Yi, is there anything you need from him? Feng Yuji asked. A while ago, he went to the Beast Divine Palace. The Beast Divine Palace sent a message over, telling us to investigate Chen Shang and ask if he knew anything about a silver lion. Yi Baidong frowned, he did not know about Chen Shang going to find Dao Heartstone. We'll have to wait for him to come back. He did leave for over a month. Feng Yuji knew, but she couldn't say it out loud. That silver lion was one of Prince Divine Lion's subordinates. If Prince Divine Lions knew, this kind of person who loved face would definitely come looking for her. Yi Baidong nodded his head. It shouldn't be related to him. Chen Shang is only a little bit of strength now. I have seen that silver lion before, even I have to use a bit more effort to deal with it, what more Chen Shang? Feng Yuji smiled apologetically. That's right, Chen Shang is still too weak now, he's basically nothing in this kind of place. Feng Yuji was now even more surprised at Shui Bingyan's strength. He had previously told her that Shui Bingyan had only killed the silver lion in an instant. He was chasing the butterfly in the yard, just like a little girl. Then I will ask about it when he comes back. Beast Divine Palace will send people over later, I might need to find Chen Shang and ask about it. Yi Baidong said as he walked out of the hall. When he passed by the courtyard, he glanced at the Shui Bingyan who was playing around with him. He only knew that this was brought back from outside by Chen Shang. Yi Baidong was also unable to see Shui Bingyan's true strength, which secretly allowed him to relax. Chapter 1964. That was why Chen Shang had brought her along. If that treasure land truly had a large amount of divine medicines, he could have just brought Yue for a few laps and she would be able to sense them. Along the way, Chen Shang did not encounter any legendary special god beast. It was said that as long as they were far away from the Supreme Divine Palace, they would encounter some powerful special god beast. If they did not have the strength to repel the special god beast, it would be extremely dangerous. Chen Shang became extremely vigilant on the road because the last time he left Supreme Divine Palace, there were already 2 gods following him. Thinking back to the 2 Sword Hall's heavenly god Chen Shang, he started to worry again. Because the elders of the Sword Hall had already targeted him and wanted to snatch his god-murdering sword techniques, what made him more at ease was that the Sword Hall still had not investigated Zhang Zhou's cause of death. This way, they wouldn't suspect him anymore. Just as Chen Shang thought that he was fortunate enough to not meet the special god beast along the way, a bolt of lightning flashed before his eyes and struck his chest. He hurriedly dodged to the side in order to avoid the aura. It was extremely terrifying. If he did not dodge, he might have been injured. It's a lightning lion. It's a special god beast. Yue cried out in alarm. This guy has some divine lion race blood in him, so he's considered very strong amongst the wild divine beasts. We need to be careful when facing him. The scariest thing is speed. Yue had just finished speaking when another bolt of lightning flashed past. This lightning lion's extreme speed was as fast as lightning. Chen Shang was simply unable to see his appearance clearly. Chen Shang felt that the lightning lion's most terrifying part wasn't its lightning fast speed but his silent concealing ability. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have come in front of him. Chen Shang dodged once again with teleportation. This allowed him to know that the human he was dealing with was not simple. He had stopped several hundred meters away from Chen Shang at this moment. Chen Shang had already clearly seen the lightning lion's appearance. It was a white lion, but it was not that big. It was just like a horse. Why is it white? Just as Yue was puzzled, a wondrous scene occurred. The originally snow-white lightning lion suddenly turned black. What surprised Chen Shang and Yue was that the lightning lion suddenly disappeared after transforming into black and blue. Upon closer inspection, the lightning lion did not disappear. It was just that several colors had appeared on its body. Those colors were exactly the same as the surroundings, making it difficult to see it from a distance. It was an extremely clever disguise. In addition, with the lightning lion's terrifying concealment ability and speed, it would be difficult for her to survive if it were not for someone with hundreds of battle experience and quick reaction speed. And just now, Chen Shang had felt such a threat. This guy isn't that strong, but his methods are very powerful. Chen Zhang's expression became serious. I can see that he's moving, but he doesn't need to worry. Yue transmitted her voice to Chen Shang. The lightning lion let the color on its body change continuously, just like its surroundings. With its speed, it seemed like it was invisible. Chen Shang knew where the lightning lion was moving, but he did not know where it was. He's getting closer and closer to you on the tree, Yue transmitted to Chen Shang. This guy is very smart. If I wasn't there to attack you from above, you would probably have been injured by him by now. Although his body was relatively large, the trees here were all very ancient, giant tree lightning lioness. The fact that he did not even cause the slightest bit of a commotion while running up the tree did not make Chen Shang feel any admiration. I must capture this fellow and subdue him. This was a thought that suddenly appeared in Chen Zhang's mind. Chen Shang pretended to look around, letting the lightning lion think that he did not see him and even took a few steps back and forth. Come on! Just as Yue shouted out, Chen Shang had already accumulated her strength and unleashed the fast and slow transformation within the 7 devil slain Kung Fu. It was not easy to hit him accurately with the lightning lion's speed, but to him, the lightning lion that had already changed from fast to slow after using the 7 devil slain Kung Fu would become extremely slow. Eat my fist! Chen Shang shouted as his accumulated 6 realms power fiercely smashed his fist towards the lightning lion's head. This punch was as though he could smash a mountain into the lightning lion's chin from the bottom to the top. Boom! A dull explosive sound burst out like a thunderclap. The true energy wave, the lightning lion was sent flying by this fist. After striking the lightning lion with his fist, Chen Shang continued to use his 7 devil slain Kung Fu to continuously attack the lightning lioness. In Chen Zhang's eyes, it was still very slow, so he quickly caught up to it. The lightning lion had originally been sent into the air by him, but now, it was quickly hammered down to the ground by him. However, just as the lightning lion's body was about to smash onto the ground, Chen Shang had already teleported to the ground and fiercely kicked its legs upwards, sending it flying high into the air. After repeating this process for more than 10 times, the lightning lion was no longer able to swallow a mouthful of blood. You think you can sneak attack me with your little ability? Chen Shang heavily stepped on the lightning lion's head. The lightning lion really could not take Chen Zhang's terrifying 6 realms power. This 6 realms power, after being released by Chen Shang using his mystical technique, combined with his own technique and technique became even more terrifying. Has anyone forced him to become my mount? Chen Shang asked. Without this lightning lion, he's not just a normal wild divine beast. He has a little bit of the divine lion race's bloodline and is also quite powerful. So, it's impossible for you to force him to form a contract with you, Yue said. Hearing that there was no other way, Chen Shang raised his fist and was about to attack. Hee, so he's that afraid of death. He's willing to make a contract with you. Yue smiled coquettishly. Hurry up and tame him. Chen Shang channeled the power of his soul into the lightning lion's divine deity and quickly made a contract. After that, the lightning lion would be his beast pet. After contracting with the lightning lion, Chen Shang gave it a name of Little Lightning. What surprised him the most was that the lightning lion was only around 100 years old, which meant that it could be considered very young. Chapter 1965. Chen Shang could also communicate with lightning lions now. Little Lightning, do you know the place where the 6 realms meet? I heard that it's a treasure trove filled with divine medicines. Chen Shang sat on Little Lightning's back. Master, I know where the place is, but it's a bit dangerous because all the human teams are stationed there. These small teams are very strong, so I have to avoid them if I meet them. They occupy many places there and specially steal the divine medicine found by others. Little Lightning said, Master, are you sure you want to go now? Of course I'm not afraid of them. How long would it take for you to reach there? This was also the reason why Chen Shang subdued the lightning lion. It was because his speed was very fast. It could save him a lot of energy along the way. We'll be there in 4 days, Little Lightning said. It was much faster than Chen Shang had guessed. From the information that the old man had given him, most people would need at least 7 to 8 days to get there. If he were to use the spatial energy himself, it would probably take 2 to 3 days. However, it would consume a lot of 6 realms power, but it did not seem to put much pressure on the lightning lion. Let's go, Chen Shang shouted. The lightning lion immediately ran up to become someone's mount. He could only concede that being alive was already pretty bad. The special god beast took the initiative to attack the humans. If they didn't kill the humans, they would be killed. At least he didn't lose his life now that he was tamed. The lightning lion's strength was not weak as well. Furthermore, their speed was so fast that they did not encounter any sneak attacks from other special god beast along the way. It's right in front. 4 days later, Little Lightning carried Chen Shang on her back and stood on top of a mountain peak, overlooking the short mountain range below. It was a mountain range filled with countless short mountains. These mountains were filled with verdant trees that seemed to be filled with life force. From this peak, Chen Shang could clearly feel the surge of life energy coming towards him, giving him a very comfortable feeling. This place was indeed a land filled with divine medicines. Let's go in, Chen Shang said to Little Lightning. Because Yue had yet to sense anything, she needed to walk a few more rounds inside the cave. In a place like this outside, there definitely isn't any divine medicine. It looks like it's not only the disciples of Supreme Divine Palace and Six Realms Divine Palace who are here to gather medicinal herbs, but also the disciples of other powers. I feel that the auras of many humans remaining here are all from different powers, and there are even some from our Beast Divine Palace. Yue said, I can only sense us entering deep into the cave at night, so we should know a lot more about that place. Yue was a star and crescent beast. She could communicate with Xingyu. When she couldn't sense the divine medicine, she would wait until night before asking Xingyu. The Little Lightning carried Chen Shang and rushed deeper inside until the stars came out at night before he stopped and slowly walked. Although the lightning lion's speed was not as fast as his full strength when he used the spatial shuttle, Chen Shang was satisfied that he was able to reach such a speed even without using his own strength. Found it. It's on a nearby mountain. There's divine medicine there, Yue happily exclaimed. Hurry up and go. I'll tell you where it's located. Have Little Lightning get there quickly. After Chen Shang obtained the exact location, he immediately commanded Little Lightning to rush over madly. Yue and Chen Shang originally thought that they would be able to obtain the divine medicine very soon. Who knew that after they got closer, they would hear the sounds of fighting? To Chen Shang, other people fighting was a good thing for him, so he could take this opportunity to leave. Purple Smoke Divine Mountain, you still want face? This divine medicine was clearly discovered by me first. Why are you saying it was yours with just a few words? A cold and furious voice caused Chen Shang to be inwardly shocked. Because that voice belonged to none other than that Xiao. It's actually this guy. I need to continue watching. Chen Shang stepped down from Little Lightning's back and used his Heaven Tour method to observe the scene. The fight had happened on top of a hill. The trees on top of the hill had already been leveled, and it made it easier for Chen Shang to see the large amount of divine medicines. Those divine medicines were all of the same kind. There were at least 50 to 60 of them planted there like vegetables, shocking Chen Shang. The divine medicines here were indeed just like mushrooms. Currently, there were 4 people standing in front of the divine medicine. They were dressed in purple clothes, and from the chi that they released, they seemed to be from Upper Heavenly God. It could be seen that they had already occupied the divine medicine. And when Xiao saw the furious expression on his face, she knew that he had been the one to discover the divine medicine first. We discovered it 3 years ago. It's just that we really have something to take care of. A man in purple sneered, you're a boxing hall, right? Don't think that just because you're a supreme divine palace we're afraid of you. You, don't go too far. Xiao said angrily, this divine medicine has already matured over 10 years ago. If you discovered it 3 years ago, you would have long ago taken it and used it. Wait until now. These despicable fellows don't have any other abilities, but they are very powerful. You guys followed me like dogs for so long, and when I found this divine medicine, you guys just jumped out and said it was you guys. You even bit back at the famous disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain, and you actually did such a despicable thing. Xiao himself would definitely not be able to defeat the other party because the other party had 4 Upper Heavenly Goddess. If he could defeat them, he would not spout so much nonsense. Then how are we going to kill you? Who would know about this? A purple-clothed man laughed loudly. Killing intent surged. Chen Shang, who had been observing this entire time, secretly rejoiced in his heart. He immediately used his spatial sensing to lock onto those divine medicines, then used his teleportation spell to instantly pull those dozens of blue flowers out of the ground. The disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain immediately discovered it, but they did not see anyone use such a method. It was the first time they saw such a method, but they were all upper heavenly goddess, so they knew immediately that this was someone who grasped the laws of space. Supreme Divine Palace, Dan Hall, Chen Shang. Chen Shang had already left on his little lightning horse, but his voice still reverberated in the mountains. Chase, were the disciples of several tens of rare Zongpin Medicine S and Purple Smoke Divine Mountain S. How could they let others take them away? Although Xiao was shocked, he naturally knew who Chen Shang was, but he did not feel angry at the moment. At least, these divine medicines had yet to fall into the hands of the disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain. A few disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain chased after Chen Shang, but Xiao also followed after him. The other party messed up his good fortune. Even if he could not defeat those disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain, he could not just let things go like that. Chapter 1966. The upper heavenly goddess were all very strong, and by relying on the remnants of the lightning lion's chi, they were able to chase after Chen Shang. This group of fellows have some ability, stop messing around and get rid of them. I'm worried that if this continues, I'll be caught by them. They are all upper heavenly god. Yu said. Chen Shang nodded his head and used space domain to cover little lightning, which would allow him to hide his spirit chi. Then, he released a spatial door for little lightning to enter, far away from the place she was standing just now. After Chen Shang used his spatial force, the few upper heavenly goddess that were in hot pursuit suddenly stopped, because they did not sense any chi left behind by little lightning and did not know how to chase after. We'll go back and take a look at them later. If these guys can't catch me, they'll definitely go deal with Xiao. When Chen Shang was escaping just now, he had also sensed Xiao's aura and was closely following him from behind. Although he had been scammed by Xiao once, Chen Shang still had a good impression of him. If not for Xiao selling the medicinal ingredients to him and Feng Yuji, they wouldn't have refined the medicinal ingredients that quickly. After all, those divine medicines were relatively rare. Xiao followed closely behind. He had originally thought that the gods of those Purple Smoke Divine Mountain S would block Chen Shang and clash with him. At that time, he would be able to sneak an attack from the chaos. However, the situation now was that Chen Shang suddenly ran away. The upper heavenly goddess thought that Xiao and Chen Shang were together, and Xiao was still behind, so they chased after Xiao. If he fought alone, Xiao would definitely not be afraid of any of them. But if they attacked together, Xiao could only run away. How could this be? Chen Shang ran off just like that. Xiao did not know of Chen Zhang's methods, which was why the development speed he saw was greatly different from what he imagined. If not, Chen Shang would not have been forced to teleport to escape. Xiao did not have Chen Zhang's ability, so the pressure he was facing now was extremely great. Adding to the fact that he was extremely close to the gods, he was slowly being caught up to. Don't run, a man from the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain shouted coldly. He released a cloud of purple smoke and formed a formation, enveloping Xiao within. Xiao took out a black blade, and crazily slashed several hundred times at the huge purple net that covered it. In an instant, this huge net that looked extremely sturdy was cut apart by streams of black blade energy, becoming purple smoke and dissipating. But at this time, the few upper heavenly goddess had already surrounded Xiao. It was already too late for Xiao to escape. Only the appearance of your comrade will be able to save you. Otherwise, we will kill you. With how many divine medicines he snatched away from us, we will definitely take them back. It was obvious that he was the leader of this team. If he had obtained that batch of divine medicines, he would have shared more, but now, all of them had been taken away by Chen Shang. After all, this was something that Xiao had discovered first, and it was also because of him that Xiao had fallen into such a dangerous situation. He, Xiao, did not have any enmity with anyone, and so, he did not wish to see Xiao die because of him. He won't come back, but if you want to kill me, that's too naive. I'm not that easy to kill, so I'll tell you this. If you want me dead, one of you must accompany me in death. Do you want to see who has the worst luck? When Xiao said this, the few Purple Smoke Divine Mountain gods were secretly shocked. Xiao was not afraid of death. This made Chen Shang, who was at the side, secretly admire him. The aura that he emitted from Xiao's body was completely influenced by him. Chen Shang hid at the side and watched. He had already used the space domain to envelop him and little lightning, so they were not discovered. Don't listen to his rumors. Kill him first. The man from Purple Smoke Divine Mountain shouted angrily, a purple sword appearing in his hand. A purple smoke surged, his eyes flashed a burst of purple light, and his entire body became like a purple shadow, instantly floating next to Xiao. The sword pierced out, fast and strange, because when he went over, his entire body seemed to be distorted, as if the reflection of water below the ripples of the water. As a result, it was very difficult to see where he was coming from, and he didn't even know which side he was attacking from. Xiao dodged, but he did not retaliate. When the purple sword pierced his body, he suddenly turned into a cloud of black mist and dispersed. This black mist was very dense, and the evil qi was very familiar to Chen Shang. Previously, Xiao gave him a very familiar feeling, as if he knew this person. After Xiao turned into black mist, the other purple smoke divine mountain S immediately took action and released a translucent purple light barrier, enveloping the surrounding area. They were worried that Xiao would turn into black mist and escape. Chen Shang was also trapped inside, but there was no restricted space, so it was still easy for him to leave. The upper half of Xiao, who had turned into black energy, now had a human shape, and the lower half of his body was covered with black energy. In his hand was an extremely large black-colored long blade. "I'll fight you guys." Xiao was furious, he was the one who suffered the most. The divine medicine was found by him the first, who knew that he would encounter these villains who specially stole the divine medicine, but in the end, the divine medicine was obtained by Chen Shang, and he had to take the beating for Chen Shang. Xiao roared, his eyes turning black, looking extremely terrifying. The blade in his hand released a terrifying killing intent and evil aura. The ferocious black blade in his hand held and slashed downwards, the black blade leaving behind a black afterimage. After Xiao unleashed this slash, he immediately dodged and continued to attack the other purple-clothed men. As for the purple-clothed man he had just hacked into, a black bloody wound appeared on his shoulder. The blood that flowed out was black, and the area where it split apart was extremely terrifying. It was emitting a thick pitch black, boiling liquid. "This guy is very strange, you guys have to be careful. I'll deal with the wounds first, I'm worried that the injuries will continue to spread." The purple-clothed man who had been cut by the sword roared. Because they had seen Xiao's attack before, the other purple-clothed men were prepared, so Xiao's following slash did not succeed. Instead, he was surrounded and attacked by the other purple-clothed men. Chen Shang had already silently approached the purple-clothed man who was injured by Xiao. The god-slaughtering sword in his hand was held very tightly, and the six realms' power poured into the sword's body like a raging river. If it wasn't for Chen Zhang's space domain, that aura would have definitely been felt by now. Chapter 1967. Seeing that Xiao was about to lose, the man in purple clothes had a sinister smile on his face. Because Xiao had injured him, he must get revenge properly later. "Don't kill him, don't let him die so easily." The purple-clothed man looked at the black blade mark on his shoulder and shouted angrily. Just as he finished shouting, Chen Shang teleported behind the purple-robed man. The god-slaughtering sword that was filled with six realms' power pierced into the back of the man's head, and the six realms' power inside the god-slaughtering sword also exploded outwards, instantly destroying the man's divine sense C. Chen Shang secretly sighed in his heart, because he did not control his strength well. With this strike of his, he had completely destroyed the man's divine deity and divine soul. When Chen Shang teleported over, he brought space domain along with him, so the energy fluctuations released by his attack did not leak out. However, his actions had already been noticed by others, and the other purple-clothed men had all seen Chen Shang killing their comrades. This was no small matter. The few men in purple could have killed Xiao already, but they had all rushed over in fury. Chen Shang released an illusion that remained where he was, while he himself had teleported to Xiao's side. Grabbing the injured Xiao, he teleported far away from the place where the battle had taken place. Although he was already out of danger, Chen Shang did not stop and continued to quickly teleport. The usage of this kind of spatial energy surprised Xiao. Now, he understood why Chen Shang was able to escape his pursuit in an instant. Chen Shang brought Xiao and ran frantically throughout the night. When it was daytime, Chen Shang himself didn't even know where he had run to. All he knew was that they were extremely, very far away from the place where the big battle took place last night. They were by the side of a small stream, and Xiao was using the water to wash away the terrifying wounds on his body. Although he had not battled with the purple smoke divine mountain and the earth gods for long, his entire body was covered with injuries. Chen Shang asked, "Is your divine soul injured?" Xiao shook his head. He did not speak the entire way, and after he finished treating his wounds, he took out some divine medicine and consumed it himself. Then, he took out a bottle of medicinal powder and smeared it on his wounds. Oi, do you want me to return those divine medicines to you? Chen Shang took out a blue flower, and looked at it carefully. What kind of flower is this? I don't know what it is. Xiao said. I don't know it either, but it's a precious Zongpin medicine, and an ancient breed at that. Only the alchemist who has a deep understanding of ancient divine medicine know what it is. Do you want it or not? Chen Shang asked. No, Xiao said straightforwardly. You saved me, and then, this could have been yours. Quote. Chen Shang nodded his head. Xiao wanted these ingredients to be used for sale, moreover he had quite a number of Shenyuan stone, he did not lack these. Where did you come from? Why do I feel a sense of familiarity? You shouldn't be born and bred in this super god realm. Chen Shang said, if he was given a familiar feeling, then it was most likely from the god's realm or his own nine-heaven world. Xiao frowned. I am indeed not from the super god realm, the only person who knows about this is me, how do you know? Chen Shang laughed. Tell me about your origins, maybe I've heard of your name, because I'm not from the super god realm, I come from the nine-heaven world. Nine-heaven world, how many years has it been? I came from that place as well, and was previously called Evil Emperor there. Now that I think about it, how laughable is it that even with my little strength, I dare to call myself Emperor, self-deprecatingly said. Presumably, he already knew how terrifying these divine nations' emperors were, which was why he had such a sigh. It's actually Evil Emperor, Chen Shang said in surprise. I have heard of your name before. You and Qi Shi are good friends, and I have also been to your evil divine palace. Chen Shang being able to say so many things that were familiar to the evil emperor caused Xiao to be extremely surprised, and he also developed a sense of familiarity towards Chen Shang. Xiao had always been an extremely solitary person. It was precisely because he came from the nine-heaven world that he did not fit in with the rest of the people here. That's right, you're able to enter my evil divine palace and come out safely. You're quite capable, Xiao nodded. You know Qi Shi. Chen Shang chuckled. Not only do we know each other, we are also good friends. Old Zhang, I recognize all of the Azure Dragon, Long Shui, and Ice Dragon. Quote. Oh right, Qi Shi is right here, but his condition isn't too good. Chen Shang said. Back then, the relationship between Evil Emperor and Qi Shi was not ordinary, and they were both old friends. How many of them are still alive? Xiao sighed, all of these were just memories of the past. Back then, they were all extremely powerful figures in the nine-heaven world, but in this place, they were nothing. Both the super old fire beast and the Dan Emperor are dead. Chen Shang said. The rest are basically still alive, they should all be in God's realm. With regards to life and death, Xiao seemed to have become indifferent. After knowing that the super old fire beast and the Dan Emperor had died, he could only let out a sigh and recovered. Qi Shi is really here. Xiao's eyes were filled with excitement. After all, that was the good brother that he had shared a lifetime with. He's here, but he went to a very dangerous place. I can't go look for him now. Chen Shang said. Thank you, senior. If you want to find him, go and find out about him at Beast Divine Palace. You won't be able to find him now. Xiao nodded, then patted Chen Zhang's shoulders. In the future, if you and that girl need any sort of divine medicine, come and find me first. As long as I have it, I'll definitely give it to you. Chen Shang laughed. Then, I shall thank Senior first. Senior, did you get all of those divine medicines from here? Xiao finally had a smile on his face. This was the first time Chen Shang saw him smile. Yes, I have a special ability. I can feel the divine medicine, and every once in a while, I will come here for a walk, so I can often find some divine medicine. This precious land is very strange, and the divine medicine here will only take a short time to mature. Xiao said, it shouldn't be a coincidence that you were able to find these blue flowers, right? Chen Shang only chuckled, and did not reply. Xiao looked at Little Lightning, he remembered this lightning lion, but it was Chen Zhang's mount now. Previously, he had also been entangled by Little Lightning, and he was secretly surprised at Chen Zhang's capabilities. He did not really understand Chen Shang that much, so he wanted to quickly meet Qi Shi and get to know him better. Right now, he had already seen Chen Zhang's extraordinary abilities. Senior, if I kill that fellow, would that purple smoke divine mountain come knocking on my door? Chen Shang asked worriedly. It would be better if they came, but I'd like to see what they say. Speaking of purple smoke divine mountain's bandits, Xiao felt angry in his heart. Chapter 1968. When Xiao said this, it was as if he had a very strong backer within the Supreme Divine Palace. Have you gone back yet? Xiao looked around. Although he did not know where he was, he had a compass that could guide him back to Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Shang shook his head. The reason he brought Yue here was to find the divine medicine he needed. Although he had already found a divine medicine, it was not what he needed. On the surface, it looks like the relationship between the Six Realms Divine Palace and the Supreme Divine Palace is pretty good, but the disciples of the two shrines will often come into conflict with each other in secret, especially in this place. Su Yun said in a low voice. Xiao warned. Chen Shang nodded. I understand, I'll come back later. Xiao's injuries had already healed, the divine medicine he brought with him had a strong healing effect, and his divine soul was not damaged at all. It's just that his physical body was rather serious, so he could return by himself now. After Chen Shang said goodbye to him, he took out that blue-colored flower. This was a Zongbin medicine, but he didn't know how effective it was. He plucked a petal and ate it. Originally, he had guessed that this blue color belonged to the category of healing wounds. However, after eating it, he felt that his stomach was very hot. Just by eating a petal, a terrifying energy quickly condensed in his abdomen. Because there was too much energy, this energy was compressed in his abdomen and continued to heat up, as if it was about to explode. Chen Shang immediately channeled his divine arts to refine the medicinal power. Even though he could refine it, he still could not understand what kind of medicinal power it was, because it was not fire. Looks like if I want to practice the Six Realms power quickly, I can only rely on the Six Realms mirrors. Okay. Chen Shang had always hoped to find a divine medicine that contained Six Realms power and after he refined it into a pill, the Six Realms power would become even purer and denser. Chen Shang originally wanted to eat another pill, but when he thought about how he almost lost control of the situation earlier, he gave up. If he had tried to quickly use his cultivation technique to refine it, the pressure would have exploded on his stomach. Although it wouldn't have killed him, it would have left a big hole in his stomach. Return and let the pavilion master take a look. Chen Shang kept the blue flower, and then ran in one direction. Yue could only communicate with Xing Yu at night to find out where the divine medicine was located, so Chen Shang could only madly run about. Little Lightning was a special god beast with a stronger spiritual sense. Chen Shang could ride on his back and relax a lot more. Firstly, his speed was very fast, and if he met a strong beast, he could sense it and then take a detour. It wasn't even night yet when, who was flying far away from the village, suddenly saw a small village. This made him very shocked, as a village like this actually existed in this kind of place. Little Lightning, you should enter for a while. Chen Shang allowed Little Lightning to enter the ring, and after teleporting a few times, he arrived outside the village. He used his divine soul to take a look around. This village was relatively large, and there were a few thousand people. Right now, it was extremely lively inside. What village is this? Chen Shang walked in. There was an intersection here, but no sign of what kind of village it was. Once he entered the village, Chen Shang felt a few auras that he was very familiar with. These auras were from the upper heavenly goddess from before. Sensing these auras, Chen Shang immediately changed his appearance. After confirming that his own aura would not leak out, he continued to walk into the bustling place in the depths of the village. The villagers in the village had all built tree houses. They lived on the trees, and they also built mansions on the ground that were rented out for people to live in. The villagers gathered here should be regular people who enter this treasured land to gather divine medicine. I found out that the villagers here are all special, they don't seem like humans, and they all possess very strong strength. Could they be the legendary grasswood elves? Yue sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang. If that's really the case, then this grasswood elves can be said to be a rather terrifying force to this super god realm. This was the first time Chen Shang had heard of this grasswood elves. Why are they so terrifying? They can actually become a great power in this super god realm. Chen Shang was very suspicious of this, although there were many people in the village, but there were very few aboriginals, and these grasswood elves seemed to only have a few hundred people. Grasswood elves, they can absorb the power of plants and vegetation for their own power, and they are good at growing them. Of course, this is not the most terrifying thing about them. Their true strength lies in their ability to control plants and vegetation, and the ability to turn large trees into terrifying monsters. Yue replied, according to the legends, a single grasswood elves is able to control 100 million trees. It's extremely powerful. Chen Shang did not think much of it. How can you control trees? It's very easy to destroy trees, even if it's over 100 million, to other experts of the heavenly god level, it's not very scary. Yu snorted. You have to know, after they control the trees, they can absorb the power of the other plants and infuse it into the trees they control. You must know how many flowers, plants and trees there are in the super god realm, right? Those ancient trees have been growing for 1,000,000 years, or even 10 million years. They contain an extremely terrifying power within them, and once they are released, they are not inferior to the god of profound god. If we borrow strength from other plants and flowers, they will become even more frightening. Fortunately, the Grasswood Elves clan are quite gentle and do not have the intention to wage war, so we do not need to be too worried about such a thing happening, we just do not need to provoke them. Chen Shang would definitely not provoke such a fellow. Right now, he only wanted to understand the location of this village, and he could come here by himself in the future. Walking on the road, Chen Shang saw that many people were doing business here. The aboriginals here were also selling some divine medicines, but they were all low-leveled and of poor quality. He entered a wooden pavilion that was 5 stories high. Just as he entered, he saw the gods of the purple smoke divine mountain, who were sitting on the first floor, drinking a kind of green liquid. Chen Shang walked over to the counter and asked. He then realized that this juice was unique to this place, it required 100 Shen Yuan stones to drink a cup, and had the effect of awakening one's spirit, quickly removing the fatigue in one's body. Many people who came here drank this, and even drank quite a few cups. Chen Shang came to a table and ordered 2 cups. After drinking one, he immediately became energetic, as though he had just rested. His body was initially a little tired, but now it had been completely eliminated. Other than that, Chen Shang also saw a kind of white juice, it was used for healing. A big man with wounds all over came in just now. After he drank a cup, the wounds on his body quickly recovered. The reason why Chen Shang sat there drinking, was to find out what the gods of the purple smoke divine mountain were doing, and to find out what kind of plans he had. Chapter 1969. About an hour later, a man walked into the inn. After entering, he directly went to the tables of the purple-clothed men from Purple Smoke Divine Mountain and sat down. You came pretty fast, a purple-robed man said. This purple-clothed man was the leader of several people and was also a bit strong. The person you wanted me to investigate has already been investigated by me. He is indeed from our Supreme Divine Palace, and he is also a relatively capable fellow. He is an alchemist, and he is also in the 10th hall of the Dan Hall, capable of refining shopping Dan. The man replied, I'm also from the Dan Hall, but I'm in the 3rd hall. Compared to the 10th hall, our 3rd hall is a little lacking. It's mainly because the 10th hall master is too powerful. Chen Shang was shocked, this man was actually from the Supreme Divine Palace, and he was even from within the Dan Hall. He should be one of those legendary young alchemists. Where's the other guy? The purple-robed man asked. He does not have any backing. If you guys want to go to the Supreme Divine Palace to find Chen Shang, then you should carefully consider it, because the 10th hall master is very scary. The disciple from the 3rd hall said. Zanshi, how about we make a deal, you think of a way to lure that brat out. As long as we can successfully lure him to the place we specified, we can give you some benefits. Quote. Zanshi smiled slightly. That's not a problem, you are willing to pay with 50 million Shen Yuan stone. 50 million Shen Yuan stone was not a small number, but the purple-clothed man readily agreed. Chen Shang secretly remembered the name, Zanshi. He was secretly furious in his heart, this guy actually wanted to sell him off, since he already knew, at that time, he would definitely not be fooled. You guys might want to wait, because in another 2 months, it will be the competition of our Supreme Divine Palace. As you all know, after that, I will lure him out. Zanshi said. As they spoke of the later matters, they felt that they were more important and left the inn. Chen Shang had already obtained something useful, and he did not stay for long. Walking out of the inn, he continued to stroll around the village, wanting to see if there were any divine medicines that he needed. Walking along the road, he suddenly saw a familiar face on top of a booth. He immediately walked over. Old Granny, Fei Fei, how is she? The familiar person that Chen Shang saw was Shuling Fei's grandmother, the old man who sold him the god root before. Chen Shang had changed his appearance before, but the old granny quickly responded when she heard Chen Zhang's question. She smiled benevolently. She's doing very well right now. Old granny, aren't you accompanying her? Will she be lonely by herself? Chen Shang also laughed. he looked at the divine medicines on the old man's stall, and saw that they were all ordinary low-grade divine medicines. At first, Fei Fei cried really hard, but in the future, she will get used to it. Sometimes, she has to steel her heart and let Fei Fei get used to this kind of life, otherwise, when I leave, what will she do? The old man chuckled. Young man, what divine medicine do you like? I'll give it to you. Chen Shang shook his head. No, what I need is Zongpan medicine, I really did not expect to meet you here. The old man laughed. This place is my hometown, so I will be very safe here. When Fei Fei has the time in the future, she will also return here. This was her homeland, didn't that mean she was the Grasswood Elves? Which meant that Shu Lingfei was one too. But Chen Shang was still suspicious. If this old man was really Grasswood Elves, then her strength should be very strong. At that time, Shu Lingfei would not have been captured by Zhang Zhou's group. Granny, I heard that the people here are all very powerful. They don't look like one. Chen Shang asked with suspicion. I used to be very powerful, but due to some incident, I became very weak. At that time, I was in a bad mood too, so I took Fei Fei and left this place. The old man sighed, his eyes filled with grief. Chen Shang did not pursue this matter any further. After all, this was someone's problem. My old man is back. He's great. If I met him earlier, I might not have been bullied anymore. The old man looked at the back of Chen Shang and revealed a warm smile. It was obvious that the old man she spoke of was the companion she had just found. When Chen Shang turned around, his jaw almost dropped. That old man was actually his master, Huang Jintian. Huang Jintian looked at Chen Shang in shock. He felt it was a little strange, because Chen Shang had disguised himself and was hiding his presence. Little Red, who is this little demon? Huang Jintian laughed as he walked over. At the moment, he did not have a sloppy appearance, but looked to be very energetic. Master, it's me. Chen Shang smiled mischievously. Congratulations master, you're no longer single. This time, it was Huang Jintian's turn to be stunned. In the past, he was the one who sneakily went to Chen Zhang's side, but now it was Chen Zhang's turn. Damn brat. Seeing Chen Shang, Huang Jintian could not help but start talking loudly, slapping towards Chen Zhang's head, as though Chen Shang was always slapping Xiao Chao's head. Old man, how can you hit someone? This guy saved Fei Fei and me before. When the old granny saw Huang Jintian hitting Chen Shang, she immediately became anxious and ran over, wanting to reprimand Huang Jintian. Huang Jintian curled his lips. He's my disciple. I taught him since he was young to draw his sword to help when facing injustice, he should have saved me. The old granny could not understand why they would become master and disciple upon seeing each other, but after thinking for a while, she finally understood why Chen Shang and Huang Jintian had already known each other for a long time. Chen Shang muttered in his heart, Huang Jintian had only taught him a few tricks back then, teaching him how to trick people and so on. She's your mistress, hurry up and call her. Huang Jintian laughed. Greetings, mistress. Chen Shang immediately bowed. Little Honger, let's pack up and talk when we get back. Huang Jintian walked over and helped put away the stall, then he took Chen Shang and the old granny and left. That old granny's name was Yao Xiaohong, and they got to know each other a month ago. At that time, Yao Xiaohong had just returned from the Heavenly God Basin and met with danger on the way, so Huang Jintian was the hero who saved the beauty. The two of them fell in love at first sight, and in the end, they became a pair. Huang Jintian proudly talked about how he had defeated those few powerful special god beasts along the way. Chen Shang had said before that the undead race's calamity was extremely terrifying. Huang Jintian had passed through it a few times previously, but he had not succeeded in overcoming it, so it caused his memory to be lost and his cultivation to become crippled. If he could pass through the calamity that was about to befall upon him, then he would be able to obtain the memories he had lost before. Chapter 1970. Chen Shang came to Huang Jintian's residence. The small house was far away from the bustling village, so it was relatively quiet. This was not Huang Jintian's residence, but rather Yao Xiaohong's old granny's place that she grew up in. This village was the gathering place of the Grasswood Elves, Yao Xiaohong. She grew up here. She wandered around for a long time outside before returning to this place once more. Huang Jintian had entered the Supreme Divine Palace with Chen Shang, but Huang Jintian did not join the Supreme Divine Palace. Instead, he chose to explore the Super God realm. However, from the looks of him, it seemed as if he was planning to settle down. Chen Shang took a sip of the fruit juice Huang Jintian had poured for him. It was extremely fragrant and sweet. Master, your great calamity. Just as Chen Shang finished speaking, he gave Huang Jintian a fierce glare because he did not want the wife he had just met to know about this matter. Huang Jintian sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang. Don't worry about me, isn't it just a calamity? When we get here, I'll definitely be able to get through it. Don't tell this old woman that if she finds out, she'll definitely worry about me every day. Chen Shang chuckled, indicating that he also hoped that Huang Jintian could pass through that great tribulation. He felt that suddenly becoming a pair with this old granny might allow him to have more confidence in transcending this great tribulation. You brat, aren't you fine inside the Supreme Divine Palace? Why are you running out now? Why don't you just hide inside and not stir up any trouble? Huang Jintian poured another half a bowl of that delicious fruit juice for Chen Shang. Yao Zhaohong was outside, sweeping the floor and humming a small tune. Although she looked like an old lady, at this moment, she gave off a very young feeling. Chen Shang sipped that fruit juice. Although it was good, he was unwilling to drink it all in one gulp. I'm going to look for the Divine Medicine Master. Just what kind of fruit juice is this? So delicious. Huang Jintian put away the bottle. This kind of divine fruit is something that I traded my life for. Don't think about drinking it all. Chen Shang laughed. Just give me a small piece of that divine fruit. When Huang Jintian saw Chen Zhang's smile, he knew that if he didn't give it to him, Chen Shang would never stop. He just needed to cut a small piece for Chen Shang. Brat, you better stay inside the Supreme Divine Palace for me. I feel like something big is going to happen to you. When I'm bored, I'll help you predict the future. Huang Jintian warned repeatedly. Master, you don't need to tell me that I already have this kind of premonition. In fact, even if I stay in Supreme Divine Palace, I probably won't be able to avoid it. Chen Shang sighed. Huang Jintian knocked on Chen Zhang's head. Are you trying to stir up some trouble again? Chen Shang rubbed his head and muttered, Master, these divine nations are after me because I have the god-murdering sword techniques on me. Some time ago, Yi Baidong was called to divine nations to interrogate me, and he said that in another month or so, those divine nations will send people over to attend our competition. Huang Jintian knitted his brows as he paced back and forth in the small hall. He seemed to know a bit about the affairs of the divine nations. There's still more than a month before the competition begins. It's just as I predicted. It's all right, how could you find it out? Chen Shang curled his lips. Huang Jintian took out his copy of the Tianyan God record and started flipping back and forth as he muttered to himself, no, something big must have happened. What kind of big event is it? I can't even calculate what's going on with the heaven extended method anymore. Chen Shang was also very curious. He said, it can't be the Supreme Divine Palace's large competition, right? This can also be considered a huge matter. Huang Jintian shook his head, it's definitely not my calculations. The biggest things that happen in the future are all related to how the world works, and this matter seems to be related to you. Because I've calculated it from you since the very beginning. So strange, Chen Shang couldn't understand what would happen in a month's time that would affect the operation of the world. No matter how much trouble he caused, he wouldn't be able to do such a thing, right? Yao Xiaohong came back from the outside, and when she saw that Chen Zhang's cup was already under her control, she scolded him, old man, why aren't you pouring food for him? Why are you not walking around? Yao Xiaohong saw that Huang Jintian was frowning as if he was thinking about something important, and did not continue talking about it. Instead, she took out a small bottle and poured some juice into it before smiling benevolently at Chen Shang. Young people should drink more so that they can have the strength to exterminate evil. Chen Shang smiled as he took a sip before repeatedly praising the fruit juice. He finally understood why Huang Jintian was so precious now. Master, I'm leaving first. I still have to go find some more divine medicines. Chen Shang shouted at Huang Jintian after he finished drinking the fruit juice. Huang Jintian was walking back and forth as if he was performing some kind of trick with his heaven extended method. When he heard Chen Shang say that he was going to leave, he casually said, let's go. Be careful on the road. After Yao Zhaohong saw Chen Shang out of the door, she exhorted him with a few sentences that she was very concerned about Chen Shang and treated him like a grandson. Chen Zhang's heart felt warm when he felt the elders care for him, and then he walked toward the direction Yao Xiaoxiao pointed in. Yue left the village and said, that old granny is not bad. However, she seems to have already lost her strength. Otherwise, she would not be so old. She must have experienced terrifying things. Luckily, she still maintains a high level of talent as a grasswood elves. She should be able to sense some divine medicines and know where they are easily. Now, Chen Shang understood why Yao Xiaohong could possess some of the more precious divine medicines. It turned out that she had this kind of ability. Even though he was far away from the village, Chen Shang still did not let Little Lightning out. Because he was worried that if he met the gods of those purple smoke divine mountains, they would not be able to recognize him, but he could recognize Little Lightning. When he left Yao Xiaohong's home, he had once asked this elder about this place and found out that it was still a precious divine medicine. As long as he was lucky, he would be able to find a precious divine medicine here. Chen Shang carried his backpack and walked alone in the middle of the ancient forest. When the sun went down, the forest inside the ancient forest would emit strange sounds due to the cold wind and rustling of leaves. Adding to the thick clouds in the sky tonight, the ancient forest was extremely dark, which made it seem somewhat eerie. This forest doesn't have any glowing flowers or plants. It's really dark. From afar, a grumbling voice could be heard. As Chen Shang was walking along, he suddenly heard someone speaking. This was what he wanted to say, but what surprised him was that he was familiar with this voice. If he remembered correctly, this person's name was Zan Shi, the young alchemist of the third Dan Hall that he met in the inn. Chapter 1971. Friendly prompts. This book. The first update website, Baidu. Please search. Chen Shang was eavesdropping on the conversation between Zan Shi and the few purple smoke divine mountain gods. After the competition, Zan Shi had promised those purple smoke divine mountain gods that he would think of ways to lure Chen Shang out and kill him. This Zan Shi seemed to have a refined appearance. He did not seem to be one of those evil villains. Yet, he actually colluded with other forces to kill his own people. Chen Shang never thought that he would actually meet this Zan Shi here. This caused killing intent to rise from his heart. Although it was dark in the middle of the night, Chen Shang and Zan Shi were both gods. Even in the night, they could still see things clearly. Brother, I think you must have just come out from the ancient village. I also just left that village. Zan Shi said with a smile. Chen Shang also laughed back. That's right, may I know where this friend is from? Zan Shi came over to Chen Zhang's side. Seeing that Chen Shang did not ask him amicably, he relaxed his guard and laughed. I am your brother from Six Realms Divine Palace. Chen Shang laughed coldly in his heart. Zan Shi was obviously from the Supreme Divine Palace, but when he heard Zan Zai's words, he pretended to be surprised and said, it's really not easy to meet Six Realms Divine Palace's disciples. Zan Shi laughed indifferently. Absolutely true, I am a disciple of the Six Realms Divine Palace. I never lie to you, my friend. I am from Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Shang did not hide his name and he boldly said it. My name is Chen Shang and I am the Dan Hall. I have just joined the Supreme Divine Palace and do not know much about the Six Realms Divine Palace, but I am very interested in it now. Zan Shi was dumbstruck. He had just walked on the road and was thinking about how he could befriend Chen Shang and lure him out to Purple Smoke Divine Mountain's God of Heaven to kill him. But now, Chen Shang was right in front of him. He had also seen Chen Zhang's portrait in the Supreme Divine Palace, but he did not expect that Chen Shang would so casually reveal his name and background to a stranger, even though he was not very deep into the world. Chen Shang did this on purpose to embarrass Zan Shi and see what methods he would use in the Supreme Divine Palace to trick him into letting others kill him. Just as Chen Shang was feeling proud in his heart, Zan Zai's next words made him secretly curse. So it's Brother Shen, I've long heard of your great name. To tell you the truth, I'm actually the Third Hall's Zan Shi. I just said that I'm from the Six Realms Divine Palace, and that I'm actually here to protect myself. It's because there are some people around here who are not friendly with the Supreme Divine Palace, so please forgive me. Zan Shi did not find it strange that such a cunning person like Zan Shi had such a thick skin. That was the most basic of quality. So it's the young disciples of the three halls. I heard the hall master say that today's reputation is indeed worthy of its reputation. Chen Shang laughed. Brother Zan, you are talking about exiting the sect with great care. I was being careless just now, shouldn't you tell me your real name and background? I still have to thank Brother Zan for the reminder. Zan Shi did not know if what Chen Shang said was true or not, but from the few gods in Purple Smoke Divine Mountain, he found out that when Chen Shang stole the blue divine flowers, he immediately revealed his name, so Zan Shi thought that Chen Shang should be rather high profile. Brother Shen, where are you going now? Do you want to return to the Supreme Divine Palace? Zanshi seemed to hope that Chen Shang could return to the Supreme Divine Palace quickly so that he could carry out the plan to lure Chen Shang to the purple-clothed men and kill him. Chen Shang was naturally aware of Zanzi's schemes. He said, I had originally planned to return, but I knew that there was a type of divine fruit that was said to be a Shengpin medicine nearby. I planned to look for it first before returning. Hearing that the high-grade divine fruit, Zanzi's eyes flashed with a faint light. In the dark night, Chen Shang caught sight of signs that this greedy and treacherous person was taking the bait with a single glance. Zanshi immediately became serious. Brother Shen, is the information you received accurate? I bought it from a young man in the village. That's what he said anyway. Chen Shang said. I used 10,000 Shen Yuan stone anyway, so it's not a lot. Anyway, we might as well take it as luck to come to this divine medicine trove. Zanshi also clearly knew what kind of village it was. All the grasswood elves and other grasswood elves had a type of power that allowed them to sense the location of the divine medicine. Thus, he felt that although what Chen Shang said should be true, it would not be easy for them to find the high-quality divine fruit. With a quick thought, he thought of an ingenious plan and said to Chen Shang, Brother Shen, it is very likely that you have been tricked. The villagers in the village can know where the divine medicine is, but they can also sell it there many times. Hearing Zanzi's request, Chen Shang secretly thought for a while and understood what Zanshi was trying to do. Zanshi did not want him to make up those high-grade divine fruits, but was looking for an opportunity to set up a trap for him. Chen Shang said, all right. Afterwards, Chen Shang truthfully said some things. Of course, Yuei taught him these things, and Yuei understood divine medicines very well. Only by doing this would she be able to deceive Zanshi. After Zanshi finished listening, he pretended to be very serious and attentive as he took out a jade tablet, handing it over to Chen Shang. Brother Shen, take this well. Chen Shang nodded his head and took the communication jade symbol paper. No problem, thank you Brother Zan. If I find you, I will inform you too. Zanshi laughed and patted Chen Zhang's shoulders as he patted him on the shoulder. It's best if we don't go too far away from this forest. Otherwise, we won't be able to contact each other if we go too far away from the place that the youth has told us to go. Chen Shang pretended to be oblivious and nodded his head heavily. Zanshi greeted Chen Shang and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Chen Shang immediately sent a sound transmission to Yuei and laughed. This guy is most likely going to find those purple smoke divine mountains gods. Chapter 1972. Chen Shang had originally planned to kill this Zanshi after the large competition, but he had met him now, and this Zanshi seemed to not be merciful to him, so Chen Shang steeled his heart, and did not care about anything else. Can you find any place with a godly fruit? Chen Shang was also planning on how to kill Zanshi. He did not know how strong Zanshi was right now, so he could not recklessly clash with Zanshi. If Zanshi returned to Supreme Divine Palace alive, it would bring him a lot of trouble. Thus, in order to have a 100% chance of killing Zanshi, he had to use other methods to ensure that there wasn't a drop of water that leaked out. Although it was night, the starlight was concealed by the thick clouds, and the starlight could not penetrate the clouds. Chen Shang was worried that Yuei was unable to communicate with the stars and moon, and could not find the divine fruit. When I communicated with Xingyu, the information they gave me was not from today. It was from a few days ago, or even a few years ago, or perhaps even more. Little Moon smiled. I've already asked around. There's a fruit tree nearby. Because this tree looks rather ordinary and its location is rather remote, it wasn't discovered. Yuei had told him about the middle-grade divine fruit that Chen Shang had just described to him. Now that he thought about it, Yuei had long since found that fruit tree. Let's set up the trap first and then call that guy over. Yuei laughed. She had also guessed Chen Zhang's plan. Chen Shang followed the direction Yuei pointed and quickly arrived at the location of the tree. The place where the tree grew was indeed very remote, and even though it was very close to the village, it was not discovered. Although this fruit is a high-grade divine fruit, its main purpose is to be eaten. It is not suitable for alchemy. Yu said. Chen Shang entered through a crack in the mountain. After arriving inside, the crack had become much wider, large enough for a few people to walk in side by side. There were also many poisonous thorns blocking the crack, so it had not been discovered. Using 6 Realms Mirrors to set up traps is for the best. Go and see if the 6 Realms Mirrors has this kind of effect. I heard our patriarch in Star Moon Divine Race mention that 6 Realms Mirrors have this kind of ability. Yu said. Chen Shang did not notice that even though he had merged with the 6 Realms Mirrors, he did not have a lot of understanding of it, and would need to excavate a bit. He silently blamed this Six Realms mirrors, and should have told his master about his abilities when it was time to fuse with it. He could feel the Six Realms mirrors in his body, the mysterious communication between them, and soon he knew how to use this ability. This Six Realms mirrors is really magical. To think that it has this kind of power, I actually didn't know about it before. Chen Shang took out the Six Realms mirrors, and with a thought, he activated the Six Realms mirrors' killing array ability. At this time, more than half of the Six Realms power in his body was taken away. UAA was pleasantly surprised. Does it really have this ability? Besides killing arrays, there are also other formations. After absorbing a large amount of Six Realms power and adding the ones stored in the mirror, the Six Realms mirrors in Chen Zhang's hands already possessed a very strong Six Realms power. At this moment, it flickered with a white light. Following Chen Zhang's mental control, the white light exploded, turning into a killing array formed by the spirit grain, and seeped into the stone walls and ground on both sides of the mirror. There are only a few that I can use now. Although there are a few other powerful formations, my current Six Realms power cannot support them. Chen Zhang's Six Realms mirrors also left his body and sunk into the ground. He was not worried that the Six Realms mirrors would be snatched away by others, because he only needed a thought to allow the Six Realms mirrors to travel through space and return to his body. After finishing all this, he immediately took out the communication jade symbol paper that Zhan Shi had given him and sent a message to Zhan Shi. Brother Zhan, I've already found that divine fruit. I'm not familiar with it enough, and I don't know if this is the time to pick it. The moment Zhan Shi saw the village, he suddenly received Chen Zhang's sound transmission and couldn't help but be suspicious. However, he didn't really understand Chen Shang well enough, so he thought that Chen Shang was a guy who liked to show off his simple brain. After knowing that Chen Shang had found a divine fruit, Zhan Shi was hesitant. He wanted to immediately look for Chen Shang or first look for the purple smoke divine mountains divine gods. If Chen Shang really could find the divine fruit, and if he went over with those purple smoke divine mountain gods, he would definitely share the divine fruit with them. In his heart, he did not want to know too, that it was a high-grade divine fruit. Even if it was inferior in quality, it would sell for a lot of Shenyuan stone. After struggling in his heart for a while, Zhan Shi still decided to believe in Chen Shang. Because he felt that Chen Shang trusted him a lot, he didn't think that Chen Shang would lie to him. Chen Shang waited for less than an hour within the crevice before he sensed that someone was outside. Zhan Shi had arrived, and even though he was near, Zhan Shi did not leak out any of his aura, showing just how cautious he was. When Zhan Shi came here and saw the many poison vines outside that had been eradicated, he knew that the crack in the mountain was well hidden. That was why he did not get discovered after so many years. It was very possible that there were divine fruits growing inside. After arriving at this place, Zhan Shi became even more careful. He was still extremely vigilant, and after walking through a narrow crevice for a while, he finally arrived at a spacious place. As expected, he saw a tree. There were more than 10 topaz-like fruits on the tree. Although it was in the dark night, they emitted a faint yellow light, and these fruits were exquisite and transparent. One could see the core of the fruits. It was exactly as Chen Shang had said, and it was obvious that they were ripe. Brother Zhan, you've finally come. Do you know what kind of fruit this is? I don't know what kind of fruit this is. It doesn't look like it can be used to refine pills. Chen Shang laughed when he saw Zhan Shi. At the moment, he was casually sitting on the ground, leaning on a mountain wall. This is the mystic yellow god fruit. It is indeed not suitable for alchemy, but it is still extremely delicious. When the fruit core is immersed in the god's water, it can produce a very delicious and fragrant mystic yellow fruit juice. Zhan's eyes lit up. These 10-odd profound yellow divine fruits in this tree were all extremely precious in his eyes. A wave of greed suddenly rose up from his heart. Zhan Shi was a very greedy person in the first place, otherwise, he wouldn't have risked agreeing to the purple smoke divine mountains deities to lure Chen Shang out. If the Supreme Divine Palace found out that he had colluded with an outer sect to harm a fellow sect disciple, the consequences would be extremely serious. However, Zhan Shi was willing to take such risks just for the sake of tens of millions of Shenyuan stone. One must know that the matter of him betraying Chen Shang and the gods of those purple smoke divine mountains knew that they would very likely leak it out, so the risk was extremely high. Zhan Shi lowered his head and took out a storage bag, and the moment he did so, his eyes became sinister and fierce, but it was only for a moment, and he took out a jade pot. He smiled at Chen Shang. Brother Shen, you must have expended a lot of effort when you came in, let us drink first. Chapter 1973. Chen Shang had already expected that Zanshi would kill him to rob their goods. He had guessed that Zanshi would fight with him and either release a yin blade behind his back or use an array disc to attack him, but he never expected that Zanshi would give him poison. Zanshi walked over with a smile. Looking at his elegant appearance, he looked like an elegant scholar, and it was difficult to tell that he had a stomach full of evil tricks. He poured a big bowl of golden-colored fruit juice for Chen Shang. When he just opened the bottle, Chen Shang smelled a rich fragrance, causing him to uncontrollably swallow his saliva. Good stuff, Chen Shang immediately praised. At the same time he praised the juice, he was also praising Zanzai's good methods. He actually thought of using this thing to poison others. UAA sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang, this thing must be poisonous, do you want to drink it or not? Chen Shang replied with a smile, of course I drink. I have profound strength, I want to see how strong this poison is. Zanshi handed a big bowl of fruit juice to Chen Shang and Chen Shang hurriedly took it. After smelling the rich fragrance, he praised it and then took a big gulp to finish it. Do you still have more? Delicious. Chen Shang praised her as he handed the bowl over. Seeing Chen Shang drink so heartily, Zanshi also laughed happily, of course there is. This is a very precious thing, I used a special technique to refine it, and not just anyone can drink it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said these words out loud. In order to let Chen Shang be completely poisoned, he poured a bowl full of poison for Chen Shang. Just like that, Chen Shang burped after drinking 3 big bowls. Originally, Zanshi did not plan to kill Chen Shang on his own, because he was worried that the weakness would fall into the hands of the purple smoke divine mountain gods, and now that there was poison grass outside the crevice, he could tell the gods that Chen Shang had been poisoned, and that he could take away the fruit tree and divine fruit. It was truly 2 birds with 1 stone. Chen Shang suddenly frowned, and shouted, Ayo! It was only when he really reacted that he cried out. He clutched his stomach and chest and shouted in shock, what's going on? His stomach and chest are both stinging. This was the reaction of the poison. Chen Shang was also secretly shocked in his heart that this poison could actually make him feel this way, and the poison was also spreading, but the anti-poison energy in his body was also quickly gushing out, enveloping all the poison. When I entered earlier, I saw many poisonous grasses and poisonous thorns outside. Brother Shen might have bumped into them before, but I have an antidote pill here. Brother Shen, hurry up and consume it to suppress the spread of the poison. Zanshi looked anxious as he took out a black pill. Chen Shang secretly admired this Zanshi. He could tell that the pill here was a poisonous pill with just 1 look, and it was refined with several poisons at that. The poison was even more terrifying than those bowls of fruit juice. Chen Shang immediately received it. He didn't even frown as he ate the poison pellet. After that, he closed his eyes and pretended to refine the poison pellet. Seeing Chen Shang close his eyes, the corner of Zanzai's mouth raised slightly, revealing a very pleased and treacherous smile. Then, he took out a jade box and carefully plucked the 10 over divine fruits. He was worried that Chen Shang would say something, so he did not immediately put the divine fruit into the storage magic treasure, but continued to dig for the tree. This tree's value was the same as the divine fruit. Zanshi was very careful when digging up trees. That degree of meticulousness surprised Chen Shang. He actually did a very good job on this kind of meticulous work. He had to pay attention to the roots of these trees when digging up trees. It wouldn't hurt a single root or else it would affect the growth of the fruit trees in the future. The place where this tree grew was entirely made of hard rocks. The fruit tree had already dug into the rocks, and it would be difficult to dig it out without damaging its roots. Just as Zanshi finished, Chen Shang immediately used the spatial extraction technique to retrieve the jade box that contained the profound illusion divine fruit. With his sudden movement, Zanshi immediately noticed it. She was shocked and quickly said, Brother Shen, don't move recklessly, or the poison will spread. Chen Shang laughed. Thank you Brother Zan for the antidote, I am much better now. After saying that, he waved his hand and the divine tree that had just been dug out disappeared. It had been taken away by Chen Shang. Thank you for your hard work, Brother Zan. Zanshi was stunned. He saw the smile on Chen Zhang's face, and it was as if he understood something. He finally realized that Chen Shang had been pretending from the beginning. He had initially schemed against Chen Shang, but he never expected that Chen Shang had always been scheming against him. You weren't poisoned. When Zanshi saw that Chen Shang was completely fine, he didn't look like a person who had taken both his poisons. If it was a normal person, they would have already been poisoned to the point that their minds were muddled. I was poisoned, but Brother Zan gave me a precious antidote pill and saved my life. Chen Shang continued to smile, and his smile became even more brilliant. Zan Shi frowned. He finally could not continue pretending and coldly said, HMPH, consider yourself powerful, don't think that you are stronger than me just because you can play tricks, let's see your true abilities right now. This time, Zan Shi had truly failed miserably, and it had even turned completely upside down. He was so angry that even the dregs would not come out, taking out a spear, releasing his killing intent. He immediately rushed towards Chen Shang and stabbed it into Chen Zhang's throat. He suddenly pulled out his spear, causing blood to spurt out from Chen Zhang's throat and splatter all over his face. The blood was still warm, which made Zan Shi unable to believe it, because this victory was too easy, it was almost impossible. Of course, Zan Shi was not that easy to obtain. He had only pierced the doppelganger Chen Shang created using the Six Realms power, it could even condense fresh blood, thus it looked very real. And the real Chen Shang was already outside the crevice. After Zan Shi realized that something was wrong, he immediately ran outside, but suddenly felt that his feet were being sucked in, and immediately activated the mysterious power inside the divine sense, wanting to break away from his body, but the more he used the mysterious power, the faster the mysterious power would escape from his feet. The killing array that Chen Shang had set up had already started to activate, first locking down the target, then releasing the condensed Six Realms power, through the array formation inside the Six Realms mirrors S, transforming into a terrifying form of power, attacking the target inside the array. The array was activated, and Zan Shi was unable to move at all. On the walls of the mountain crevice, countless Six Realms power S suddenly shot out from all directions. The first round of piercing did not manage to break Zan Zai's defense, the divine armor on his body was still very strong. However, she was unable to endure the second round anymore, and her body was immediately riddled with holes and turned into a bloody mess. Chen Shang saw that it was enough and walked in. Brother Zan, I just came out to pee, and you became like this. What's going on? Chen Shang said as he laughed. A hand was already pressing on top of Zan Zai's head, although Zan Shi was looking at him viciously, he pretended not to see it. Zan Shi was very young, only a few decades old. Compared to an old fellow like Chen Shang who had lived for thousands and thousands of years, he was really a little too young. You have no reason to harm me. Zan Shi felt that Chen Shang was searching his memories, and asked in shock. He couldn't understand why Chen Shang would scheme against him like that. I'll send the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain guys over to accompany you later. When the time comes, you can ask them if I have a reason. His words and his smile made Zan Shi feel as if he had fallen into a bottomless pit of despair. Chapter 1974, Tianai Flower. Zan Shi had already given up all hope. He didn't have any chance now. He understood that since Chen Shang knew he was this kind of person, then there was no way she could spare him. You must send them to me. Zan Shi said coldly. There is something related to them in my memories, it might be useful to you. At this moment, Zan Shi hated Chen Shang very much, but he also hated those few Purple Smoke Divine Mountains gods, because they were the ones who were too careless back then, causing this kind of thing to be leaked out. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen into Chen Zhang's hands right now. Definitely. Chen Shang immediately swallowed Zan Zai's memories and took out his divine deity. Zan Zai's divine soul had already been destroyed, and his body should not be burned by Chen Shang either. He wanted to destroy the corpses and wipe out the evidence, as he had killed a relatively good young alchemist in the Supreme Divine Palace. From what he knew from Zan Zai's memories, the gods of those Purple Smoke Divine Mountain S were famous all over the place. They would specially inquire about the alchemist S who often gathered divine medicines, and after finding them in the precious land of the divine medicines, they would secretly follow them. As long as they found any divine medicines, they would immediately jump out to snatch them. The last time they stole Xiao, they did not hide their identity, so Xiao was able to immediately see through their Purple Smoke Divine Mountain. Other than that, Chen Shang also knew that Zan Shi often worked together with these robbers from the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain. Because Zan Shi was very deceitful, he stayed in the alchemist circle very well. Furthermore, Zan Shi and this bandit god had also discovered a few divine medicines, and those places were all extremely secretive. When the divine medicines matured, they would gather together and then go harvest them together. And now, there was a place in this treasure land where the divine medicine was about to mature, and that was a Shengpin medicine. Zan Shi did not know what kind of divine medicine it was. he only knew that it was an ancient divine medicine from the mouths of those bandits, but it was very precious. Chen Shang estimated the time, there was still some time before the divine medicine would mature, so he immediately rushed over. The route in Zhan Zai's memories was extremely detailed, he had to hurry in order to harvest it before the purple-clothed bandits did. Chen Shang told Yue about the flower's appearance. Although Yue didn't refine pills, she was an expert in this field, and even though this little guy often pretended to be cute and win over girls, she was definitely an old demonic cat. After Yue heard Chen Zhang's description, she said, "This kind of flower is called the Tianai flower. After eating it, it can increase the power of the divine sense C by a little. Of course, the main purpose of this flower is not to eat, but to store the power of the divine sense C. Your 6 realms power should be able to be stored in this kind of Tianai flower as well. If you don't normally need it, you can store it inside, and when you rest during the night, you can replenish it. When you continue to store the 6 realms power, eating this kind of flower will allow you to immediately obtain the 6 realms power that you stored in the flower." After Chen Shang heard it, he felt that it was a little familiar. He frowned and said, "This effect is the same as the divine sense C pellet." The divine sense C pellet is a Shengpin Dan. The divine sense C pill formula was chosen by Feng Yuji when she passed the intermediate alchemy god assessment, or was it chosen for her by Chen Shang? It was just that he did not know the formula, and because he could not refine the Shengpin Dan back then, he did not ask Feng Yuji. "Tell me, what is the use of the divine sense C pill? This Tianai flower only has a limited amount of divine sense C's power." Yu said. Chen Shang told Yue about the effects of the divine sense C pellet. Yue said, "The divine sense C pellet that you mentioned is able to contain the power of one of the 9 soul heavenly gods. It is many times stronger than a Tianai flower and it cannot hold much. This Tianai flower should be one of the ingredients to concoct the divine sense C pellet without fail." Since this was the divine medicine that he needed, Chen Shang wanted to obtain it even more. He was initially running wildly in the forest, but right now he was using the power of teleportation to rush to a cave. He traveled through the night. 2 days later, he was far away from Grasswood Elves' village. He arrived at a small mountain and circled around it to look for the entrance to the cave. This cave was already covered up by Zanshi and the violet-clothed bandit, and had even set up restrictions. It was to prevent people from discovering it, and to wait for the Tianai flower to mature naturally, they could go and harvest it. If you don't have a special ability to maintain this kind of wild medicine, you can never pick it before it has ripened, or else it will be hard to maintain the best quality if you go to other places to cultivate it. So if you find a divine medicine, you won't be in a hurry to pick it unless you have no other choice. The divine medicine treasured land had a different kind of nourishment compared to other places. The divine medicine here naturally grew at a rate of 10 to 100 times faster than other places. Legend has it that even some divine nations would send people here to search for rare divine medicine. Chen Shang originally did not understand much about this treasure land, but after he devoured some of Zhan Zai's memories, he found out that this treasure land was extremely special and magical. Even though this place should be very small at the border between the 6 realms and the sovereign realm, but for some reason, this place gave birth to a space, causing the entire treasure land to continuously expand for a long time. "I've found it. Those guys aren't here yet. I have to hurry up and make a move." Chen Shang discovered the mark of the restriction and immediately teleported, passing through that place and entering the cave. Chen Shang originally thought that after entering the passage, it would be very dark, but he never expected that the entire passage would be filled with green light, and these strong green light rays were somewhat glaring. He was inside the passage, and when he looked forward, he discovered that the light had come from the end of the passage. The source of the light was emitting an even more piercing green light, and he could not see what it was. If it matures, it will not emit this strong light. This kind of flower is rather special, and it also has a certain spirit. He only emits light to protect himself because he sensed someone approaching him, and if he matures, he can burrow into the ground by himself. But there should already be a barrier placed around this place to prevent the Shengpin medicine from escaping. Yue said, "If you pick it now, it might affect your future quality. As for this flower, it should be maturing soon." Chen Shang took out a jade bottle, inside it was the spirit liquid he condensed. Whenever he wasn't with Feng Yuji, he would cultivate this kind of spirit liquid like the alive slain method. "Then I'll let him mature." Chen Shang laughed, and walked towards the bright light. Chapter 1975. When they approached the Tianai flower, the originally green light had instantly turned blood red, looking extremely frightening. At this moment, the entire cave was covered in a bloody light, and there was even a thick smell of blood, as if warning Chen Shang that if he went any closer, there would be a disaster that would appear. But Chen Shang was very clear that this Tianai flower was only scary, it did not have any power at all. "Little guy, I'll make you grow up faster." Chen Shang grinned as he squatted down. Then, he poured out all the spirit liquid from the jade bottle and dripped it onto the exquisite sky sea. The Tianai flower was very small, it was only 6 inches tall, the size of its palm, its leaves and stems were all transparent. Even though the flower was also transparent, it had a very strange power that could emit different colored clouds of light, and it was also very strong. After Chen Shang dripped the spirit liquid, the Tianai flower suddenly grew taller, and the flower also grew larger. It was as big as a palm, and it started to emit a strong blood light, but now it had dimmed down, and the entire flower was transparent, as though it was carved out of crystal. It was extremely beautiful. "What's this?" Yuaa was a little curious about the spirit liquid in Chen Zhang's hands. Of course she could tell that this spirit liquid had a strong ability to accelerate maturity. "I used the alive slain method to cultivate it, but it's not the best." Chen Shang laughed. The most powerful thing was that he and the woman had dual cultivated alive slain methods and condensed spirit orbs. Even if it was just kissing, it would be much stronger than the spirit liquid that he condensed himself. The alive slain method in the heaven-earth killing method, is it? This godly skill is also a mysterious skill. Yuaa said, sticking out her small head, looking at the crystal-like Tianai flower, and lightly laughed. "What a pity, this isn't something delicious. It's fully matured." When Chen Shang saw the Tianai flower move, his hand shot out like lightning and grabbed onto the stem of the flower. Then, he quickly dug out the root and sealed it in a jade box. Just as he was about to pluck it, a sound came from outside the cave. "There's someone here, and judging from this aura, it should be those violet-clothed bandits." Yuaa replied, "What do you plan to do?" Chen Shang allowed his divine soul to travel through space to check around, and discovered that there was only one purple-clothed man. He was currently removing the restriction, and the restriction they had set up had taken a lot of effort. It was not easy to remove, and would take some time. "There's only one. Let's do it." Chen Shang took out the 6 realms mirrors and started to lay down the killing array. After doing all of this, he hid in a corner of the cave wall and waited for the purple-clothed man to come in. This guy should have come by himself. These violet-clothed bandits aren't that united. Chen Shang sent a sound transmission to Yuaa as he smiled. "If that's the case, why did they still give 50 million to Zanshi to trick you out of it and kill you?" Yuaa had some doubts. For them to be able to spend so many Shen Yuan stones just to avenge their comrades, it seemed that they had a good relationship with each other. From Zanzai's memories, Chen Shang understood that the relationship between these violet-clothed bandits was indeed not very good, and they often fought for a little benefit, and the fact that they were willing to pay 50 million Shen Yuan stone to avenge their dead comrades really did not make sense. The killing array had already been set up, and when the man in purple saw the exquisite Tianai flower, he could not help but be ecstatic. He quickly walked over, because he did not expect that the Tianai flower would have matured so early. After getting rid of the blame, just blame it on Zanshi, the brat, for him to cooperate with us for so long and earn a lot. It's time for him to return the blame. The moment the purple-clothed man stepped into the killing array, Chen Shang immediately activated it. This time, he used the killing array with all his might, because the purple-clothed man was from Upper Heavenly God. His strength was much stronger than Zanzai's. He was even a bit worried that his killing array wouldn't be able to stop the purple-clothed man. The killing formation activated, and from the very beginning, it locked the purple-clothed man in place. His legs could not move, and at the same time, it also quickly absorbed the divine power within his body. The purple-clothed man sensed that something was wrong and shouted loudly. The divine power in his body surged out and he actually lifted a leg. So powerful, Chen Shang felt the 6 realms power inside the 6 realms mirrors quickly disappearing. Terrified, he took out the god-slaughtering sword and immediately used the god-murdering sword techniques. Sensing the terrifying god-killing sword, the purple-clothed man immediately exclaimed, "God-murdering sword techniques, Chen Shang." The time inside the god-murdering sword techniques made Chen Zhang's time speed up, thus his speed of drawing the sword was many times faster. Just as the purple-robed man shouted out, his body had already been pierced by dozens of swords, all of them aimed at his vital points. "How do you know I'm Chen Shang?" Chen Shang thought it was strange, his appearance had already changed before, he shouldn't be able to recognize this purple-clothed man. After the purple-clothed man had been struck by Chen Zhang's god-murdering sword techniques, the god-slaughtering sword's energy entered his body, and had already caused him a great deal of harm. And because Chen Shang was worried that the purple-clothed man would retaliate against him before he died, she had even stabbed a sword into his divine sense C, causing the purple-clothed man's divine soul to suffer a heavy injury. Only you know, the purple-clothed man had not finished speaking when Chen Shang saw a streak of golden light suddenly flash out. It was a vile person, and it was the purple-clothed man's divine soul. If divine sense C and his flesh were to suffer heavy losses, his divine soul could escape and he could quickly be reborn. However, Chen Shang basically did not give him this kind of opportunity. He grabbed at the air, broke through the space, and directly grabbed onto the divine soul. The main reason why he used the soul-absorbing devil spell was because he wanted to use it on the divine soul. Now that he had the divine soul in his hands, it was easier for him to use the soul-absorbing devil spell. Thus, he easily found some information he wanted to know from this purple-robed man. Not long ago, he and Yue had been wondering why these purple-clothed bandits would be willing to pay 50 million Shen Yuan stone for Zanshi to lure him out and kill him. So you are here for my god-murdering sword techniques and heavenly alchemy. That means the purple smoke divine mountain also has people inside. They got the news about me from an elder. Chen Shang found a divine deity from the man's divine sense C. The purple-clothed man had hidden his divine deity very well. He was a upper heavenly god and he had at least 3 divine deities, but Chen Shang could only find one. This guy had originally been deceived by Zanshi once, so in order to take revenge, he didn't care if Zanshi would lure me out in the future or not. He just wanted to use this matter to slander Zanshi, and then take all the Tianai flower for himself. Chen Shang burned the purple-clothed man's body, leaving behind a bit of Zanzai's aura. The storage magic treasure like Zanshi would usually hide in the divine sense C. Even if they devoured their memories, they wouldn't know where they were hiding. When they were storing the storage magic treasure and divine deity, they didn't leave behind any memories, and summoned them out as they pleased. Chapter 1976. Chen Shang finished off Zanshi and a purple-clothed man, and even obtained a Tianai flower. His harvest was very rich, which caused him to happily hum a small tune in the mountain forest, skipping and walking around. On the other hand, Yu was resting inside her bag. If she sensed anything, she would wake up. Chen Shang picked a wild flower and sucked the sweet juice from the flower. Then, he gently shook the flower off and used his finger to release a burst of energy to scatter the flower and cause the petals to fall. This would allow the flower to be sowed and grow even more in the forest in the future. A few of the petals slowly became beautiful, and just as they were about to land on the ground, a gentle breeze suddenly blew into the forest. The petals that were about to fall to the ground were blown up by the wind. The strange thing was, after these petals were blown away, they actually clashed against each other. At first, Chen Shang thought it was a coincidence, but the next scene he saw made him feel like he was facing a great enemy. A few petals were suddenly blown together by the light breeze, and at the moment of collision, they actually produced faint traces of white light. The petals that were initially scattered by Chen Shang actually merged together, and became beautiful flowers again. This was definitely not a coincidence. Rather, it was caused by a very powerful force. Who is it? Chen Shang stopped in his tracks and shouted loudly. This guy is very strong. It seems like he has been following you for a long time. Yue hurriedly stuck her head out from her backpack and looked around, her voice also becoming more serious. Knowing that he had been followed, Chen Shang felt a chill down his spine. If that was the case, then wouldn't he have been the one to let the purple-clothed man off the hook? Chen Shang turned around and looked behind him. At this time, he only felt the wind grow stronger, and just as he was about to continue walking forward, he suddenly saw a man with long hair standing in front of him. This almost made Chen Shang scream out in shock. He had used his spatial perception just now, but he still did not notice this man. Even when he closed his eyes, he could not feel that this man was right in front of him. Even if it was a god, he wouldn't feel such terror. The man in white had a very handsome face, and his eyebrows were meticulously trimmed. The hand holding the bamboo flute was very long, and his nails were carefully trimmed. He seemed to care even more about these things than the women. Chen Shang, on the other hand, was tall and sturdy, his clothes were tattered, his hair was messy, there was even some mud under his nails, the bottom of his pants were rolled up to reveal his extremely dense leg hair, and although he was handsome, his unkempt personality prevented his handsome face from appearing. Chen Shang and the white-clothed man in front of him were like two polar opposites. Who are you and why are you following me? Chen Shang asked with a frown and a vigilant expression. He had already taken out the god-slaughtering sword. The man in white smiled. His smile was very charming and his voice was filled with a strange charm. I didn't follow you. I've been in this place for quite a while. I only came to take a look after noticing that someone has entered this place. Sunlight shone through the gaps in the treetops, causing beams of light to fall from the trees. The man in white waved his hand, and a gentle breeze blew, causing the flower to float in the wind and land in his palm. I'm so sorry to bother you. Chen Shang cupped his fist and turned to leave. Before he had taken a few steps, the white-clothed man suddenly appeared in front of him. I just want to ask, were you the one who used the god-murdering sword techniques? The white-clothed man asked. I was attracted by your terrifying god-killing sword. This man in white was very strong. Chen Shang was not able to see his strength, and only felt that this man in white was capable of killing him at any time. Yes, Chen Shang replied. Where did you get it? With a gentle blow of his white robe, the flower in his palm floated away with the wind. It was unknown where he had drifted to. From his appearance, it seemed that he doted on these flowers. A senior sister passed down the god-murdering sword techniques to me, and this senior sister's father passed down the god-murdering sword techniques to him. As for how his father obtained it, I don't know. Chen Shang spoke the truth. Oh, it won't be easy to cultivate this god-murdering sword techniques, especially one with a god-killing sword at your level. As far as I know, the first thing you need to do is to have the god-slaughtering bloodline, but you obviously don't. The white-clothed man spoke indifferently, but his eyes were staring straight at Chen Shang. Chen Shang immediately felt a great pressure pressing down on him. His back was covered with cold sweat. I'm not too sure either. This might have something to do with the divine deity that I fused with before. Chen Shang had already determined that the divine deity he had fused with should have belonged to that whatever Six Dao's divine monarch. It was said that he was the son of the Six Dao's divine king and was a legendary figure in the Six Realms divine palace. After the white-clothed man heard this, he slightly frowned. After pondering for a moment, he no longer pursued the matter of the god-murdering sword techniques, and asked about another matter instead. Are the star and crescent beast in your bag? Uaa stuck her head out. I am a star and crescent beast, do you want to eat me? Chen Shang was startled, but Uaa had an impatient tone when she asked that. It seemed like she had some understanding of the man in white, and even asked him, do you want to eat me? The white-clothed man smiled. Why do you want to know if I want to eat you? Don't tell me I look like someone who specializes in eating star and crescent beast. Uaa snorted lightly. Your divine wind valley has always had this kind of tradition. As far as I know, most of our star and crescent beast were captured by your divine wind valley. In divine wind valley, Chen Shang suddenly understood that this man had always been using wind power, so this divine wind valley should be one of the powers in super god realm. I am from the divine wind valley, not bad, but I have been separated from the divine wind valley for many years. Now, I am from the Six Realms divine palace. The white-clothed man smiled. Moreover, the divine wind valley that you mentioned is from many years ago. The current divine wind valley doesn't eat star and crescent beast anymore, nor do they dare to eat star and crescent beast. HMPH. Uaa was still very unhappy. What kind of background do you have? As far as I know, Six Realms divine palace doesn't have a person like you. The white-clothed man laughed. My name is Xiao Chongla. Although I have joined the Six Realms divine palace, I have rarely shown my face. I have been training in this treasured land all year round. Chen Shang replied. If senior doesn't have anything else, then I'll be leaving first. I still have to rush back, okay? This land had a strange power, so it was normal for Xiao Chongla to be hiding here to cultivate. Now, Chen Shang just wanted to return to the Supreme Divine Palace and leave this mysterious expert behind, even though this person had no ill intentions towards him. You must be from the Supreme Divine Palace. Xiao Chongla asked with a smile. Yes, Chen Shang didn't think that he would be seen through so easily. He didn't have the characteristics of a Supreme Divine Palace. I will be going to the Supreme Divine Palace soon. I think you should be from there, otherwise, you wouldn't have collected such a precious medicine. I didn't expect that there would be a little kid like you in the Dan Hall. Xiao Chongla chuckled. You can go back first, I think we won't be seeing each other for long. New quick text. Chapter 1977. Chen Shang didn't know much about Xiao Chongla, but this guy knew a lot of things about him. The matter of him killing the purple-robed man in the cave must have been found out by Xiao Chongla. Don't worry, I didn't see what you did in the cave. Xiao Chongla patted Chen Zhang's shoulder. Chen Chong nodded, then cupped his fists. Thank you senior for understanding, farewell. Chen Chong immediately ran. Xiao Chongla said that he was from Six Realms Divine Palace, and the killing array that he had set up with the Six Realms mirrors in the cave was probably seen by Xiao Chongla, so he must have already known that had Six Realms mirrors, thus he ran so fast. He was worried that Xiao Chongla might want to see his Six Realms mirrors. Chen Chong continuously teleported, only stopping to rest after walking out of the great mountain and arriving at a piece of prairie did not stop until he had dashed madly for 2 consecutive days. Do you have a clue? Just what kind of background does this guy have? It's too scary. Even when facing strong people like Yi Baidong, I don't feel this kind of pressure. Chen Chong exhaled, then released Little Lightning. Riding on Little Lightning's back, he returned to Supreme Divine Palace. Yue said, I have never heard of his name, but I can roughly guess his strength. He should be someone who has reached the pinnacle of the Supreme God realm, and is only a little bit away from surpassing the realm of the Supreme God. He should be a Supreme God who possesses 19 divine deity. Chen Chong exclaimed. No wonder it's so scary, is there such a powerful being in the Supreme Divine Palace? Yue crawled out from her backpack and ran into Chen Zhang's embrace, saying, yes, Supreme Divine Palace's palace master should have that kind of strength. Chen Chong had never seen the Hall Master of the Supreme Divine Palace before, he had only heard that this Hall Master rarely appeared. Unless something big happened, he would never come out to settle things, even if it was the large competition. Doesn't that mean that this Xiao Chongla possesses the same terrifying power as the Supreme Divine Palace's Hall Master? Does that mean that there are a lot of these fellows in the Six Realms Divine Palace? Said in surprise. Said that he was from the Divine Wind Valley and joined the Six Realms Divine Palace later on. In the past, Six Realms Divine Palace was very powerful, especially during the time of the Six Dao's Divine Monarchs. However, after the disappearance of the Six Dao's Divine Monarchs, the Six Realms Divine Palace also declined. Everything Yue knew, she knew from the higher-ups in the Beast Divine Palace. She had a noble position in the Star Moon Divine race, so she knew a lot of things. Chen Chong returned to the Supreme Divine Palace. He did not expect that it would take him so long to walk out of the depths of the treasure grounds. Returning back to the 10th Dan Hall, Chen Chong saw Shui Bingyan and Feng Yuji organizing some medicinal herbs in the courtyard outside. Seeing Chen Chong and Yue return, Shui Bingyan walked over happily. Elder brother Shen, Yue, how do you do? Yue really liked Shui Bingyan. She flew out from her backpack and threw herself into Shui Bingyan's embrace, playing with him with her cute little paws. Has Bingyan adapted yet? Chen Chong sat down and helped Feng Yuji get those dried-up miracle medicines. He did not know what they looked like. Feng Yuji chuckled. Your worries and mine are superfluous. Although this girl is simple, she is not easy to deceive. She has a very strong sense of perception and is very sensitive to whoever has ill intents towards her. She doesn't need to adapt to our human environment. Chen Chong looked at Shui Bingyan's innocent and brilliant smile, and sighed, I hope our human environment isn't so treacherous to her heart. What are these? Asked. There were many divine medicines, and all of them looked like gray fruits, but the roots of the fruits were intertwined together. The divine aura fruit and the void primordial spirit fruit, the main 2 kinds of Zongpan medicine in refining the divine concealment pellet, are intertwined together. Now we need to separate them one by one. Feng Yuji said. Did you get anything from going to the divine medicine trove? My harvest is not bad. How did you get these medicinal ingredients? Did you buy them? Chen Chong asked. I don't know why that guy called Xiao gave it to me, but for some reason, he gave it to me without taking my Shen Yuan stone. Seeing Chen Zhang's smile, Feng Yuji knew that it had something to do with Chen Chong, and quickly asked, what exactly is going on? Chen Chong chuckled. I saved this guy, moreover, he can be considered to be someone I know. He is 9 Heaven World. Feng Yuji opened her mouth in shock and exclaimed, so it's Evil Emperor, how did he become like this? I can't even recognize him, no wonder the chi on his body gave me a familiar feeling. You've met him. Chen Chong didn't think that Feng Yuji would enter the Evil Emperor and see her. What was strange was that she didn't recognize him. Of course I've added him. However, at that time, he was completely different from how he is now. He was basically 2 different people. He had also seen me before. Merely, at that time, I had used a different appearance. Feng Yuji said. Chen Shang took out that blue-colored flower. When he met Xiao in the Divine Medicinal Treasures grounds, it was precisely because of these blue-colored flowers that he simply told Feng Yuji about the past. Feng Yuji spun the blue flower, and said with a frown, "I don't know what kind of flower this is, but from your description, it seems like the effects are not ordinary. I even suspect whether it is a Zongpin medicine. I just ate a petal, and the effects are already very scary." Chen Shang said. Right now, the blue flower in Feng Yuji's hand was missing a petal. Suddenly, a voice came from the direction of the small yard. "This is the dead profound evil flower. You can still live after eating a petal, this is your fate. If you don't know how to handle it, a hole will be blasted in your stomach." This was the voice of Hall Master Luo Tianjin. He had already come out of seclusion. He walked out of the room, and instantly arrived beside the table, taking the death profound evil flower from Feng Yuji's hands. After Yue heard this, she immediately flew over and said in shock, "This is the legendary death profound evil flower that could let the supreme god pierce through the heart easily." Hearing Yue's description, Chen Zhang's heart suddenly had a lingering fear. He was glad he only ate a petal back then, otherwise he definitely wouldn't be able to sit here so comfortably right now. Luo Tianjin glanced at Yue. Even though he was in closed-door training, he knew a little about what was happening outside. When Yue and Shui Bingyan came in a while ago, he immediately found out. Yue was, after all, a star and crescent beast, so it was very easy to see through her. This is only a medial grade death mysterious black evil flower. If it were a superior grade flower, then this little demon's reputation would probably grow back. Luo Tianjin returned the flower to Chen Shang, and then warned her sternly, "You can't eat it anymore. This flower is an evil medicine that can kill people." Chen Shang immediately nodded his head, but he was ecstatic in his heart. If he refined the pill, the power would definitely be great. The stone on the mountain where Long Shui's remnant soul was previously on, also had a terrifying power. He had not refined it yet. "Hall Master, have you heard of Xiaochangla?" Chen Shang suddenly asked. Upon hearing his question, both Feng Yuji and Luo Tianjin's face changed. They actually knew who Xiaochangla was. Chapter 1978. Luo Tianjin let out a long sigh. No wonder this kind of flower would appear in such a precious land of divine medicine. It was planted by this guy. He's still the same as always liked to plant this kind of thing. Chen Shang was startled. Xiaochangla truly loved flowers, and this kind of terrifying, death-profound evil flower was actually planted by him. Luo Tianjin looked at Feng Yuji. "Girl, do you recognize this guy as well?" Feng Yuji nodded. "I'm young, we were quite familiar with him when we were young, I didn't expect him to be here." Quote. At that time, the 9 Divine Kings was extremely prestigious, and since Xiaochangla was able to recognize Feng Yuji, it meant that Xiaochangla had a pretty good status at that time. "Hall Master, he said that he is from the 6 Realms Divine Palace. What is his position in the 6 Realms Divine Palace?" Chen Shang asked. This Xiaochangla knew some of his secrets. He had to figure out Xiaochangla's identity now. He is the Hall Master of the 6 Realms Divine Palace. Although this guy is from the 6 Realms Divine Palace, he is also an alchemist, and strictly speaking, he can be considered my martial uncle. No one knows his identity in the 6 Realms Divine Palace, only a few elders and Hall Masters of the Supreme Divine Palace know about him. Luo Tianjin's words caused Chen Shang and Yue to be extremely shocked. They never thought that Xiaochangla was actually the Hall Master of the 6 Realms Divine Palace. Feng Yuji frowned. He was originally from the Divine Wind Valley. Why did he run to 6 Realms Divine Palace? Luo Tianjin said, he controls the wind laws. Later on, because the Divine Wind Valley and the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain jointly did something that would harm the disciples of both sides, at that time, Divine Wind Valley and the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain both sent a portion of their disciples away. That was when he entered the 6 Realms Divine Palace. Chen Shang suddenly thought back to when Xiaochangla asked him about the god-murdering sword techniques. Obviously, Xiaochangla already knew that he had fused with the divine deity of the 6 Dao's divine monarchs, and even knew that he had the 6 realms mirrors, but he did not say anything. "How is he?" Chen Shang asked. "Not bad, just that she likes to dress up more than women and flowers more than women. The rest are still quite good." Luo Tianjin laughed mischievously. "You should have seen him in the precious land of divine medicine." Chen Shang nodded his head. It was indeed just as Luo Tianjin had said. "Hall Master, he said that he will be coming to the Supreme Divine Palace soon. What is he doing here?" Chen Shang asked. He should be the one who brought the disciples of the Six Realms Divine Palace to join in the fun. Our Hall Master should have made an agreement with him that the competition this time will possibly compare to the other forces. When the time comes, the three great halls will be gathered together and other forces like the Divine Wind Valley and the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain will also come. Luo Tianjin said, it will be more lively later on. That's what Hall Master told me before. That's why I went into seclusion, because when the time comes, we old bones will have to go up on stage and regain some face. Camel. Someone suddenly shouted from outside the door, his voice was like thunder. Hearing the voice, Chen Shang knew who it was. It was the chief hall master of the Soul Hall, Zhu Shangyuan. Chen Shang helped him find the Tao Heart Stone, but half of the compensation he gave Chen Shang had not been paid off, which was equivalent to giving him a decent set of divine soul. The reason he's here now, should be to send us off with his divine soul. The moment Zhu Shangyuan came in, and saw Chen Shang, without saying a word, he threw a pearl over to Chen Shang. Chen Shang took the pearl, and felt that it was very scalding to the hand. This is a fire attribute divine soul. I've already finished refining it so it's very easy for you to fuse it. Zhu Shangyuan smiled and said, be careful when fusing with them. This fire attribute divine soul is extremely overbearing, don't get burned. Luo Tianjin thought it was strange. He had only closed himself off for a few months, yet Zhu Shangyuan had already gifted him with divine soul. It had to be known that even old bones like them would find it difficult to obtain such a high-quality divine soul from Zhu Shangyuan. What's going on? Luo Tianjin felt that it was strange, so he looked at Zhu Shangyuan and asked. He helped me find the Tao Heart Stone. Just as Zhu Shangyuan finished speaking, he realized that he had leaked his mouth, because he had promised Chen Shang not to tell him about this matter. Hearing that, Luo Tianjin's eyes immediately became round, he glared at Chen Shang, and then left. It seemed like he went to Supreme Hall to look for the old man. Zhu Shangyuan chuckled at Chen Shang. Don't worry, I won't let your hall master cause any trouble, I'll go watch him right now. Zhu Shangyuan left as well as he let out a helpless sigh. Yue continued to play with Shui Bingyan, they were both chasing after him and playing around. When Chen Shang and the others were talking earlier, Shui Bingyan also sat obediently by the side and listened quietly. Sister Feng, how did you know that Xiao Chongla? Chen Shang asked. If he sees you now, would he still recognize you? Feng Yuji laughed. Of course I recognize him. Back then, 9 divine kings had set his eyes on this guy, so he was doing quite well in Divine Wind Valley. The God King had often given him pointers, so when I was young, I often cultivated with him. Let's not talk about this anymore. I even found this in the Divine Medicine Land. Chen Shang took out the Tianai flower and laughed, is this a Tianai flower? When Feng Yuji saw it, she cried out in surprise, it's the Tianai flower. This is great, this is a divine medicine that is difficult to find in order to refine the divine sense sea pellet. Chen Shang said, seems like I'm not mistaken. Feng Yuji carefully stored it away. This was a very precious thing to her. Brat, I have already improved the regeneration Dan. Feng Yuji also had some good news to tell Chen Shang. Seeing her pleased smile, Chen Shang couldn't help but reach out and caress her face. How did it go? Chen Shang knew that Feng Yuji was using this to vent his anger towards the young alchemist that had refined the regeneration Dan. Although regeneration dans can regenerate their flesh and bones, their speed is very slow and they aren't very effective against gods who have relatively stronger flesh and bones. Feng Yuji said, but the jade-back divine pellet that I refined could regenerate bones and flesh quickly. If my body was just a bit weaker, I could complete it in an instant, and it would be much better than the regeneration Dan by many times. Feng Yuji faintly sighed. The only thing that is lacking is that this kind of pill is slightly more difficult to refine, and we need to add another Zongbin medicine. Although the effects are very good, the price would definitely be very high, if not it would be difficult to reverse the price. Chen Shang looked at the divine soul in his hands and said, I have a way, that fellow's regeneration dans are not endless, I think that he already has some in stock, and he is only selling them to a few people. If we can quickly copy the regeneration Dan's medicinal ingredients and quickly refine them, then we can definitely compete with him. I know that as well, but how do we solve this problem? Replicating the medicinal ingredients is not a difficult task, what's more difficult is to quickly refine the ingredients, after all, this is a Zongbin Dan. It requires a batch of Shengpin Holy Dan to concoct. This gave Feng Yuji a headache. Chapter 1979, The reason why Chen Shang did not start refining Zongpin Dan was because he was looking for a solution to the problem that caused all the pill gods to feel a headache. It was that all the Zongpin Dan needed to add a lot of Shengpin Holy Dan as support when they were refining. The majority of Zongpin Dan's pill formulas were like that. While the supporting Shengpin Holy Dan only had a stable effect, its medicinal strength would not be merged into the divine pellet, which also meant that even if the Shengpin Holy Dan did not refine it, the quality of the divine pellet would not change. However, without Shengpin Holy Dan, it would be hard to maintain stability in the furnace. This was mainly because when the Zongpin medicine was being burnt, it needed to consume some energy in order to be docile and not be irritable. Therefore, when they were in the ancient times, the pill god had thought of this method. When refining Zongpin Dan, they would add in Shengpin Holy Dan and let the Zongpin medicine melt to the Zongpin medicine to swallow. I'll go into seclusion for a few days to see if I can succeed. Chen Shang said, "Give me 2 sets of regeneration Dan's medicinal ingredients." Feng Yuji handed over the ingredients to Chen Shang. His face was slightly flushed, and he said, "There aren't many spirit pearls left, we need to take some time to get more." Chen Shang laughed sinisterly, and quickly entered the basement. He did not start to refine pills, but took out the divine soul that Zhu Shangyuan had just delivered. He was still an inferior divine god, he only had 2 divine souls. Chen Zhang's first life ability was that the Chuangzhao fire would be of great help to him in refining pills, and his second life ability was the celestial phenomenon art. This was what he got from cultivating the heavenly spirit kung fu, it allowed him to have a strong defense. And after that, he would cultivate the 3rd divine soul and condense the 3rd divine deity. At that time, he would also have the 3rd life ability. Right now, he was training in the heavenly alchemy. He planned to use the heavenly alchemy to cultivate the 3rd and 3rd divine deity, which would affect his 3rd life and abilities. It's exactly because Xiao Chou has this kind of thing that he can advance by leaps and bounds. I will fuse with this divine soul first, and when the time comes I will cultivate the 3rd divine deity, and then I will become a god. When Chen Shang thought about the 10 divine deities that were required to become the supreme god, he felt that he still had a long way to go, so he had to speed up a little. The divine soul that Zhu Shangyuan had refined, was placed inside the divine sense sea, and had actually easily fused with him. Now, he only needed to cultivate a little, to make himself more compatible with the divine soul, and after that, he only needed a long time of seclusion to condense the 3rd divine deity. Regeneration Dan. Chen Shang took out a portion of Regeneration Dan's medicinal ingredients. This was only medicinal ingredients, there were no Shengpin Holy Dan's. Feng Yuji had told him before that even if he used the heavenly alchemy, if he did not join the Shengpin Holy Dan's inside, it would be very difficult to maintain the stability of the pill furnace. Feng Yuji had taught her the heavenly alchemy, so she definitely did not have as much understanding towards it as Chen Shang, so when she was refining pills, more or less, she still had the method to refine pills from before. That was why she did not understand and change the way she used the heavenly alchemy, and it would take a long time to comprehend and change the way Chen Shang did. Feng Yuji had already told Chen Shang the timing of the appearance of these few spirit bloods. Therefore, Chen Shang did not need to test them a little, he could directly burn these few Zongpin medicine to a certain degree. It appeared, "Sister Feng, you seem to know a lot about the Regeneration Dan's divine medicine." When Chen Shang saw the spirit blood inside the few divine medicines, he immediately captured all of them and then merged them all together. It seemed like it would succeed, but in the instant the fusion occurred, the things that Chen Shang expected did not happen. Instead, they were all separated. This is bad. Chen Shang immediately opened the lid on the pill furnace, releasing a few more berserk medicine aura from the furnace bit by bit. Zongpin medicine are really different. They could have fused together, but why are spirit blood suddenly rejecting each other and even breaking apart? Chen Shang sank into deep thought. He had never encountered such a situation before. He had used the original source refining, so spirit blood were extremely important to him. If the spirit blood were to shatter, it meant that he would fail. Feng Yuji had said before, that if the Shengpin Holy Dan's had smelted and added in the energy after the holy pellet was refined, it would allow the Zongpin medicine S to swallow the energy, allowing them to integrate with the spirit blood S bit by bit smoothly. During this process, he would also need to continuously refine a large number of Shengpin Holy Dan's, and also have to evenly distribute the energy that the holy pellet produced. If Chen Shang wanted to solve this problem, he had to first understand why Zongpin medicine would reject each other and even self-destruct when they fused with each other. He only had one portion of regeneration dan's medicinal ingredients in his hands, while Feng Yuji only had one portion of medicinal ingredients to duplicate. He took a deep breath and placed the divine medicines on top of a jade plate. Then, he used his spiritual eye to carefully observe them. Thus, he continued to read. It took him 3 whole days before he had a clue. It should be like this. These Zongpin medicine have all developed a stronger spirit, and they also have gathered a bit of energy inside the divine medicine. It's similar to divine deity and things like that. If the energy within the few divine medicines was too different, they would not be able to fuse together and the spirit blood would also reject each other. And when I forcefully gathered the spirit blood together, it would cause it to shatter. Quote. Chen Shang frowned as he thought about it. There is a huge difference in the energy hidden within the Zongpin medicine, and the strength of the energy depends on the strength of the spirit blood. If I were to forcefully merge them together, it would cause the weak spirit blood to explode. That's why it happened before. Quote. This was just like him using an egg to touch a rock. The difference between the two was too great, so they couldn't fuse together. As for the Shangpin Holy Dan, it would have the effect of protecting the weak divine medicine with an energy shield. Once the weak divine medicine had reached a certain level of balance, it would fuse together without causing a weak explosion, and after successful fusion, it would then disperse the energy that the Shangpin Holy Dan had turned into. If I use the original source refining, I can only start from the original spirit blood. As long as we strengthen the spirit blood, it won't explode when we fuse with it. Quote. Chen Shang had already found a way to solve it, but he still hadn't found the way to use the strong spirit blood. There should be something inside the heavenly alchemy. When I first comprehended the original source refining, I saw something related to it, but I didn't pay it much attention at that time. When Chen Shang thought of this, he couldn't help but exclaim in his heart about how profound the heavenly alchemy was. Chapter 1980. It took Chen Shang a few days to understand the method of the strong spirit blood from the heavenly alchemy. Looks like it uses up a lot of divine sense C's power. I wonder what effect the 6 realms power of my divine sense C will have if I use it on it. What was expended was the power within the divine sense C. Because Chen Shang cultivated the 6 realms magic Kung Fu, all he had right now were 6 streams of godly power. And what the mysterious power could do, the 6 realms power could too. After finding the method, Chen Shang started refining the regeneration Dan. He first burnt the few types of divine medicines to a certain degree, then used his spirit essence to see the spirit blood and used the strengthening technique that he had just comprehended. Before using this method, he had to first figure out which divine medicines were too weak, and then strengthen the spirit blood of these divine medicines. All he had to do was balance these spirit blood. The only thing he needed to do was to use a powerful spirit technique, and the 6 realms power in his body would quickly rush out of the divine sense C, turning into a light green glow and flowing out of his palms. It would enter the pill furnace through the fire entrance of the pill furnace and then wrap around the divine medicine and permeate into the divine medicine little by little, strengthening those weak spirit blood. At this time, Chen Shang also used his spirit eyes, and carefully observed the spirit blood. When the spirit blood was weak, its color would slightly change, and as it grew stronger, its color would also deepen, so it was very easy to see. As long as the color depth of the divine medicines were similar, they could begin to fuse together. This kind of situation wouldn't happen to low-quality divine medicines. Although low-quality divine medicine spirit blood would also have a large difference in strength, but because the energy contained within the divine medicine wasn't enough to detonate, it could be forcefully merged. On the other hand, the middle grade and above divine medicines were different. The powerful energy concealed within would explode if the spirit blood was not stable at all. It's about time. Chen Shang never thought that he would have to spend 3 days to get the color of the spirit blood to be identical, and that he would have to use up a lot of 6 realms power S. It's because I'm not familiar with this technique that I have to use it bit by bit. Therefore, if I'm familiar with it after such a long period of time, the time I need can be shortened by a lot. It's not a problem for me to produce a pill quickly. Chen Shang used his divine sense to form a hand, grabbing the spirit blood inside the ball of medicine aura and fusing them together. At this moment, Chen Zhang's heart was thumping hard. He was nervous. If he failed, he would have to find a new method. However, if he succeeded, it would be much easier and faster to refine Zongpin Dan than other alchemists. He did not even need to refine a large number of Shangpin Holy Dan. This was something that made him very excited. When the few spirit blood fused together, Chen Zhang's forehead could not help but exude a large amount of sweat. When he saw the spirit blood fuse into a ball, he let out a long sigh. Done. Chen Shang was overjoyed and heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, the medicine aura-s and medicinal powders had all fused together into a very dense ball of air. As expected of Zongpin medicine, if we combine several of them together, we can produce such a dense amount of medicine aura. Seems like we can condense quite a few pills. Chen Shang was extremely happy in his heart. If you use the holy pellet as support, after the fusion is done, you have to release the holy pellet's energy. When the energy is released, a large portion of the medicine aura will be lost, so the amount of medicine aura that leave the pellet is very small. Chen Shang had understood it before. The young pill god who made Supreme Divine Palace only had 2 pills, but he was still not sure how many pills Feng Yuji could make out of these pills. He still had to continue burning these medicine aura-s to make them purer. According to this method, if you can only condense an ordinary pill, you should be able to condense at least 5 pills. Chen Shang was even more excited. The more he could condense, the better. This way, he wouldn't feel like he was losing out even if he sold them at a low price. Now that he had solved the problem, he did not need to add Shengpin Holy Dan-s to refine the pill. This could reduce a lot of costs and the amount of energy needed to refine the pill, at the same time increasing the number of pills. After Chen Shang refined that large lump of medicine aura to a very pure state, he was somewhat agitated in his heart. 7 pills. It should not be a problem. Quote, he rewarded this group of medicine aura with 7 points, and then carried on with the process of condensing the pellet. After a short while, Chen Shang succeeded in condensing the pellet. He opened the furnace and saw that there were 7 light yellow regeneration Dan-s inside. Great, as long as I copy a little more, I can quickly refine a large amount. Chen Shang wiped his sweat and hurriedly walked out of the basement with the 7 regeneration Dan. When they arrived at the top, Feng Yuji was currently sleeping on the same bed as Shui Bingyan, while Yue was sprawled on the ground next to Shui Bingyan. Shui Bingyan slept soundly and looked good in her sleep. Feng Yuji, who was at the side, woke up early, and when she heard the door to the basement opened, her eyes shone open. She had been waiting for Chen Zhang's good news. Do you want to kiss her? Feng Yuji laughed. I don't dare, she's strong. Chen Shang curled his lips. Feng Yuji had already walked down from the bed and arrived beside a table. Chen Shang laughed. Look. Feng Yuji saw that Chen Shang had opened a jade box and there were 7 regeneration Dan inside. She almost shouted out happily, but she was worried that she would disturb Shui Bingyan, so she restrained herself. How did you refine it? Without using Shengpin Holy Dan-s, you can use 2 portions of regeneration Dan-s, medicinal ingredients to refine 7 pellets. Feng Yuji placed the regeneration Dan on his palm and carefully examined them. They are even of high quality. Chen Shang chuckled. My first furnace was a failure. These 7 pills you saw were all refined in the same furnace. Quote. Impossible. Feng Yuji shouted lightly. She had refined regeneration Dan many times. She knew regeneration Dan well enough. She felt that her 4 pellets were already the limit, and she had to use her best to be able to condense 4. Chen Shang laughed but did not speak. He took a close look at these regeneration Dan and discovered that they were all hot. The temperature was about the same. But she still quickly shook her head. She could not accept this kind of thing that she felt was impossible. Sister Feng, you can do it too. I'll teach you tomorrow. I'm a bit tired now, so I'll go take a bath first. Chen Shang walked into the bathroom and quietly washed off the perspiration on his body. Then, he sat on a chair and crossed his legs to rest. Feng Yuji also leaned over, laid in Chen Zhang's embrace, and gently caressed his cheeks as she gently said, I'll accompany you. Chen Shang kissed her red lips and laughed. Then, he hugged her and went to the other bed, where they slept in each other's embrace.